wanna cry.
In recent years of change, NASCAR and Speedway Motorsports looked over its venues and searched for ways to mix up the competition. In their search, they found an, at the time, club-level road racing layout within their home venue at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Constructed in 2017 and 2018, it led to the birth of the Charlotte Roval as we know it, and it's even included on iRacing.com as free content to all members, serving as a perfect site for racing like we'll have tonight. Hi, and welcome to PitStopTV and the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. I am Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa alongside, and we're at one of my personal favorite venues this evening, JP. Road Atlanta and VIR are great and all, and those are my two next favorites, I think, but the Charlotte Motor Speedway will always hold a special place in my heart. It will always be special to me, and this Roval being included by NARL in its season schedules this time around with Porsche Cup and GT3 action is really special to me, and it means a lot.
Oh, it's a fantastic race course, Andrew. It's just absolutely, challenging. I love the challenge that this circuit brings, even though sometimes, the wall seems to be my best friend. But, it's a great circuit. It's built so well. The challenging nature of it, it kind of feels like the closest we can have to Monaco on iRacing. Obviously, we still have the street circuits, but this one, I don't know, it's just So challenging, so tight. It doesn't allow for any sort of mistake, and I just absolutely love it too.
It's an amazing mix of so many great things that you look for in race courses. Of course, well, it is an oval. That is what Charlotte Motor Speedway was for so many years, and still is for so many years. But it has all of those road racing characteristics that you want in an American course. It's got elevation change, it's got sweepers, it's got technical corners too. But everything flows really nicely, and the wall isn't closed on you. It feels a bit like a street course at times. It's just so many great things rolled into one that I really do think this is one of the best places on iRacing to host a road race, if not in America. It is just such a fantastic racing circuit, and we're ready to get things kicked off this evening at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go sim side then and bring you all in. This is how things are looking. You can see it is a nice morning day here in Concord, North Carolina, right on that town line, right on that city line of Concord and Harrisburg, North Carolina. I've been here so many times, JP, but every time I pull up to the venue in real life, or every time I see this venue in the sim, it just, there's something special about it. I don't know exactly what part it is. Maybe it's the grandstands there into Oval Turn 1, or even into Roval Turn 1, really, that you can see that extend high above the speedway. Maybe it's just, I don't know, this is the home track for NASCAR teams and most NASCAR drivers. This is where it all kind of comes together. This is one of those venues that's just so special to NASCAR racing as a whole, and certainly for that reason it holds a special place in many people's hearts. And then you have the road racing on top of it that's come into play as of recent. Of course, legend cars have run on the road course for years, and in the 80s when NASCAR tested left-right cars, much like we have today actually with symmetrically built chassis, they used the infield road course that was even then there as a great testing grounds. Of course, IMSA has run here recently. Let's pull up that track map and you can see what we're looking at today. In case you couldn't quite get the lay of the land from the overhead shots, here is the track map for the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Turn 1 takes you off of the oval and into that infield, going through what would be pit exit for the oval. That brings you around turn number 2. So turn 1 was initially named the Heartburn Turn, Tom's Heartburn Turn. It changed sponsorship this past year to being the DeWalt Too Tough to Turn, whatever you want to call it. It is turn 1, and it is very tough. That wall on the outside will certainly get you. That takes you around to turn number 2. I like to call it the Bojangles drive-through as well. There's a little cut through there for the Bandolero course. It kind of just works out. Turns 3 and 4, though, that's the Hammerhead. I love that term that was coined, I believe, by IMSA Radio in 2020. I just want to say I was there for that race when IMSA was there. That was really cool to see the GT cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the Roval. That brings you on to the backstretch, though, to turn number 5 in the beginning of the Redneck roller coaster, JP. I mentioned all of the elevation change. Everything that makes this course flow really nicely involves the elevation change, going up and down just a little bit. And in fact, from the bottom of turn number 5 to the top of turn number 8, there is a 35-degree elevation change, or sorry, not 35 degree, 35 foot. And of course, you go up and then back down and then back up again to turn number 8. So you go up for turn 6, down for turn 7, back up for turn 8, and up back onto the oval. That is the Redneck roller coaster. That brings you back around NASCAR 1 and 2, back to that backstretch chicane, back around NASCAR 3 and 4, and onto the front stretch chicane. That's a lap around the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. It has a lot of characteristics similar to Daytona, but it is its own thing, and it does it really well.
Absolutely. You mentioned, obviously, when you talk about Rovals and you talk about, I guess, oval circuits that have the road racing side of it, obviously comes to mind Daytona, the Daytona 24, obviously. But this one, as you mentioned, Andrew, it's its own thing. You know, I feel like it's so much more challenging, and I'm pretty sure each and every single driver would agree. It's more challenging than Daytona. Obviously, it doesn't bring the high speeds that Daytona has, but, you know, it's just, I guess, the challenging nature, you know, the absolute, you know, no mistake allowed. In Daytona, obviously, sometimes you can get away with a spin here and there. This one is just so much more difficult, and I guess that's why drivers, and obviously us as well, we really like it, because it brings man and machine to be, you know, at their best, at their limits, to make sure they extract the most out of the car without, you know, pushing a bit too much, because if they do push a little bit too much, they're going to be in the wall.
Here is a look at the season schedule. You see us slotted in at March 29th, 2022. Just over a month, in fact, a month and 2 weeks since the season began, all the way back at Hockenheimring. We've got Road Atlanta and Red Bull Ring up next for the series, but again, we've got to get through Charlotte this evening. So Charlotte, Road Atlanta, Red Bull Ring, that's how this season will come to a close. Let's take a look at the amateur point standings coming into this evening. Agustin Castro up top with 2 wins. Alex Persian second place with 2 wins, and Brian Zinn third with 1 win. That top 3, That's your championship battle for all intents and purposes, only separated by 10 points coming into this evening. Teague Ashburn's also very close. Even Diego Era is very close. Unfortunately, Max Tankerel is not here this evening, and that's going to have a negative impact on his season. Of course, he'll be able to use one drop week, but now this is his one drop week, and that's going to complicate things there for car 14. You can see the rest of the field and how they work out. A lot of close battles, especially on that right side. In fact, from Bobby Flack all the way down to Dan Willis, that is a span of, let's see, 6 different positions. They're only separated by 11 points, and that's in the midfield, so a lot of great battles throughout.
Oh, absolutely. And as you mentioned, unfortunately for Max, he's going to be losing. He's going to be losing his drop week as well. And it might cost him at the end of the championship, but it's extremely close, Andrew. I feel like every position is still up for grabs. Teague is doing a fantastic job. Obviously, he's still winless, unfortunately, but he's doing a fantastic job to keep up with the 3 drivers ahead of him who already tasted a little bit of that victory champagne.
You can see the quick moment here that we have to look at the practice standings. Alex Persian leading the way, Ryan Kerr second, Agustin Castro third, Todd Malik there in fourth, and Diego Era wraps up your top 5. I don't see Brian Zinn very high on the list. In fact, he is 16th in qualifying times. Hopefully that works out to his benefit, I suppose, here in qualifying and the race. Of course, we have this amateur race up first. Later on, we'll have the pro and pro-am race, but we've got to get through this 30-minute amateur race with these Porsche Cup cars and these amateur drivers. Then we can get to the big guns, if you will, the big guys, if you will. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. And you know what? I gotta say, I think for an entertainment factor, a sheer entertainment factor, and not taking into account the strategy and everything else, I've almost enjoyed these amateur races a little bit more. They put on such great racing. Everything is very close. In fact, usually much closer than the pro races, but that's because they are pro races. They're not here to, make any friends. They are here to go out and lay it all on the line, and that's what they do. So they take everything into account and do the best they can. Qualifying, though, underway for our amateurs. Let's quickly take a look at the weather today, JP. 77 degrees in the air, 81 degrees in the track, some sustained winds around 9 to 10 miles an hour. In fact, coming down a little bit, down to 7 miles an hour, maybe 6. Are we going for 6? Are we going for 5? 5 going once, twice, and 5.9. Back up we'll go. So sustained winds, but nothing too crazy. Track temp isn't all of that high, but it is warm-ish. It feels good out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit warmer than we're kind of used to. Obviously, sometimes we're used to around 60 Fahrenheit, aren't we, Andrew? So, obviously, 80 is a bit on the warmer side. That wind as well picking up to around 11 miles an hour. So, it should be okay temperatures for most of them. I'm pretty sure, that's going to line up with a lot of the practice that we expect these drivers to have done. So, it's just a matter of, getting the tires up to temperature, making sure you don't overheat them on qualifying, and obviously, just nailing your laps.
Here's a bit more information for you. Teague Ashburn will not be in this race this evening either. Let's pull the points up again and show you why that's important. You can see 4th and 5th. Fourth and 6th, rather. Those 2 drivers will not be here this evening. That's using a drop week on this race. That's going to complicate things. I noticed we had 29 drivers in practice. That's a big downturn from what we've had this season. We had races of nearly 50 cars in this amateur series, so to be down to 29 this evening, that's a little bit odd, and maybe drivers just planning to use their drop this evening and saving themselves and getting ready for next week at Road Atlanta. I don't know, but let's go ahead and go trackside and actually check out some of the cars on the racetrack, including, but not limited to, of course, William Love in car 67. He's on the back end of his first time lap.
So this is the final part, obviously the second last chicane. Not only NASCAR 3 and 4 ahead of Williams, so yeah, only one challenge left. We know, Andrew, I guess you can tell us better, obviously from NASCAR, this can be a very tricky chicane coming under braking. Obviously, we remind ourselves of Jimmy Johnson, and then, he just slows down quite a bit. He uses a little bit of that curb, doesn't get too close to the wall. It looks like he just finished. Scott Angelo goes a little bit quicker. You can see Persian, he still looks like hasn't opened his lap, Andrew, so he's leaving it a little bit late. He's definitely going to have plenty of time to finish both laps. So, yeah, it looks like Alex taking it a little bit easier. Kurt as well looks like he's on his first time lap as well. Looks like he just exited turns 8, if I'm not mistaken, heading to NASCAR 1.
So Ryan Kerr up onto the banking for the oval, onto the backstretch now, and this will be down into the backstretch chicane. And look at Agustin Castro, very quick his first lap, a 1:18.491, but these guys will continue to get quicker. I saw 17s in practice, so I expect 17s again here in qualifying. Agustin knocking on that door. He's midway through the 1:18s. A lot of these guys chiming in with 19s, even 20s their first lap. Joshua Benjamin, a 1:19.655 his first lap out. Pierre Thompson currently checks in at second place, just finished up his lap, and he's only a 10th and a third off of pole time. Scott Angelo is looking pretty quick, about 3.5 tenths off, and Ryan Kerr finishes up his first lap only, in fact, just under 3/10 of a second off of pole time right now. So Ryan Kerr has got something tonight. Let's find Alex Persian out there, though. He is through turn 6 and into the Redneck roller coaster for the first time for his timed lap.
So just exiting this section of the racetrack, coming back into the oval. Only 2 chicanes left, only 2 braking zones left for Alex to finish up his first lap. Looks like Mike Braun just went second fastest, just a 10th behind Agustin Castro. Another number 79 lining up his braking zone, going deep on the braking right now, shifting all the way down to third gear looks like, and then second for the second part to get the nose kicked in, and then just on the exit, get as close to the wall as possible, back into the NASCAR section of the race course, hugging that blue and white line. Agustin Castro improves even more. What can Persian do on his first lap? Lining up the car for the braking zone, braking for third gear, hitting a bit of the apex, hitting the second apex, really jumping the car. That's going to be a 1:18.4.
It's quick,
looks like
but
that's
not quick enough.
Yeah, less than a tenth of a second, but looks like he's already parked, Andrew.
Yeah, so he calls it quits after his first lap. Actually, yeah, he towed back to the pit lane, wants to get new tires. Agustin Castro, you know what? Actually, it might not even be tires they're going for, but actually nose weight. Of course, they can burn some fuel off, and being that these are mid-engine cars, the fuel is in the front of the car, so maybe they're looking for nose weight to help turn in. That actually could be a big possibility as to why these guys tow so much in qualifying, trying to get back, some of that nose weight they burn off in their qualifying laps. Agustin Castro into the backstretch chicane, best lap so far, 1:18.335 rather. That's good for pole. A few more cars out on the racetrack. How about Zachariah Rosar? Been turning a lot of heads recently. First lap looks like it goes as an off track, but it was a 1:20.141. If that had stood, that would be good enough for 22nd in front of Armando Bejaran. Now, good for 23rd, still in front of Armando, but let's see if Zachariah can turn things up and keep it on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Obviously, a small touch to the wall, and Agustin, that's his third flying lap. That's the third time he improved. The man just has pace on qualifying, doesn't he, Andrew? He's always lining up the qualifying sheets. It's just amazing. Mike Braun, he's on a good qualifying. He's in 4th place, Andrew, but he's almost half a second behind the leader. It's crazy how quick the number 14 is on qualifying pace. Hopefully he can translate to that. Obviously, he's going to hope he can translate to that. It looks like Pierre Thompson is taking an interesting approach to qualifying. If you reverse too much, you might get black flag.
Oh, he might have just gotten that black flag.
And
but he might have just sacrificed his starting spot.
Yeah, in an official race, that's gonna really gonna qualify. So throwing away a 6th place start just like that. And I don't quite know the reason.
I think he was just trying to practice standing starts, but that's just no. That's not what you want to do. That's not how you want to do that. Aubrey Kundal into the backstretch chicane. Currently in the 11th spot, about exactly 7/10 off a pole currently. We'll see what Aubrey can do. Zachariah Rosar, by the way, has gone to 14th on the board with a 1:19.065, which is pretty solid, right down near a 1:19 flat. I think if you can get to a high 18, you're looking pretty good today, at least in this amateur race. And I'd imagine then you want to be at a low 18 or better for the pro race, as Aubrey goes a bit quicker, up to 7th now in front of Malik, Rasmussen, Angelo, and Speaker. So a big improvement there. Billy Barriman on the racetrack, currently 25th. Best time so far, a 1:20.026. And again, you want to be down around a low 19, a high 18, so we'll see if he can pick up that second.
So just the final chicane, just this big braking zone. This is all about confidence. Looks like he's gonna open, and no, he's not gonna open. He's gonna practice the standing start. So yeah, that has to be
that was a bit of a rolling start, though. You got to make sure you come to a stop and drop the clutch, and I don't think he really did that. So I don't know. If you're gonna do it, you really got to make sure you do it right. But Billy is trying it, and here we go. Even Mike Weir is trying a standing start, it looks like, or towing to the pit lane. Let's see. Yep, a standing start. So practicing these standing starts, even on the banking. Now, there won't be a start on the banking. No cars should end up starting that far back, although there might be a couple of stragglers. Really, it's just a matter of starting in that chicane. In fact, we can go ahead and show you exactly what we're looking at here for the start of this race. We're looking at this. So you can see that front stretch chicane we're certainly not getting 30 cars lined up in just the run from the start finish line all the way back to the exit of that chicane. So there will be multiple cars within that chicane, but I doubt we're going to stack up 40 or more to where they're all the way back to the banking off of NASCAR 4. That would take a lot of cars. I just don't think we're going to see that.
Yeah, probably not. And obviously, the tricky part is, Andrew, those guys that are starting on the chicane as well, you know, some of them might start with their cars a little bit turned, which should hinder them on traction, but yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see as we have even a few cars. Mike Braun looks like he's just getting a few extra miles on practice. Andrew Rasmussen coming down to the pit lane, so he got a few extra miles as well. And Andrew, we touched this time and time again. Look at Mike, still practicing the start. So it's just important to get those extra miles in. You know, even if it's only 20-30 seconds, it's probably going to help you on the race, understanding your car, understanding the tire drag, understanding limits as well. This is where you can essentially, you know, just crash and get a fresh start within 30 seconds.
It looks like Mike will come to a stop and practice a standing start. Again, you don't... Oh, maybe not. Yeah, you definitely don't need to do it on the banking. I was kind of surprised that Mike was trying it on the banking there, Mike Weir, but he is now into the hammerhead and now pulls off the racetrack and will take a tow. So qualifying will come to a close this evening. Let's once more take a look at that track map, and I think big corners to watch. Obviously turn 1, but then you get down to the hammerhead. That's where we're probably going to see, if the field gets through, or you know, whatever parts of the field do get through turn 1, I think turn 3 now is the next part you have to look at. The next corner you have to look at as you know, a problem spot, maybe over turn 6 potentially, when you kind of narrow up that racing line, and even getting back onto the oval potentially in turn 8. Cars could come out from underneath drivers, and then you have to look at the 2 chicanes. Those are obviously going to be passing opportunities, and obviously going to lead to a few issues. So watch that for some issues. Watch those chicanes for some issues this evening as we get rolling. Let's go ahead and get down to the grid. We might even put a couple cars in the banking. I'm surprised. I didn't think we would, but these starting spots are a bit more spaced out than I would have thought. Starting on pole, you'll find Agustin Castro in car 014. Ryan Kerr will start from second. Starting third, you'll find Alex Persian with a couple of wins this season. Brian Long starts from the 4th position. Mike Braun will roll off from 5th. Pierre Thompson qualifying 6th. Starting 7th, you'll find Aubrey Kundle in car 653. Then it's Todd Malik in car 150. Your top 10 is rounded out, though, by Andrew Rasmussen and Scott Angelo. And just like that, we're ready to go racing here. We only got through the top 10. That's how quickly it happens in the North American Racing League. Ready to go racing for 30 minutes of amateur action, waiting on the green lights. And we are off and away at Charlotte. Clean start so far. Oh, never mind. Aubrey Kundle turned around into turn 3. The rest of the field works into the hammerhead for the first time.
Yeah, unfortunately for Aubrey, it looks like he's going to be having a shorter race. Unfortunately, that might be big damage, but you can see the rest of the field making their way now through Redneck Roller Coaster. All going to be in single file, Andrew. I don't expect to see too many side-by-side action this early on. We might just be trying to settle in the pace, but expect much later on in the race we might see some cars daring to go side by side. You can see the leaders and the rest of the pack making their way through NASCAR's 1 and 2. And this is an amazing shot, Andrew.
You can see a few more stragglers running through turns 5 and 6 now. A couple of packs further back, but our leaders single file into the bus stop for the first time. Oh, one car missing. That was Andrew Rasmussen right through the chicane. A couple of cars a bit wonky there. Mike Braun took a weird line. And one car, I think that was Dan Willis, a little bit wonky on exit, but everybody else continues on. Your top 4 in one group as they head into the front stretch chicane for the first time, under power. And just like that, about a minute and a half have elapsed, and lap 1 is complete.
Just like that, 1 lap complete. As you mentioned, the top 4 kind of breaking away from the rest of the field as 5th and 6th, Braun and Thompson were fighting side by side. But this, Andrew, this is a really good battle. Agustin Castro just 0.2 of a second ahead of Kerr, but obviously making a move around here is very difficult. Applying pressure, it's, you know, just being close is very difficult. So it's going to be a challenge for Kerr to line up a move, but it's also going to be a challenge for Castro to hang up to that pressure throughout this 30-minute race.
Coming through the Redneck Roller Coaster down to the bottom of 7, up turn 7 now to turn 8. And the 888 is in pursuit of the race lead. Agustin Castro, though, the way that car squats and gets up out of the corner, man, he is just using it to its fullest advantage. And these amateur drivers run fixed setups supplied by VRS, and I'm kind of surprised the way certain drivers are able to use this car to their advantage. I guess just working the brake, working the weight transfer, rolling into the throttle just the right way. Of course, it is a Porsche, and Porsches are weird to drive, so definitely using the fullest potential of these race cars. Agustin Castro, Ryan Kerr, Alex Persian, and so on and so forth. These top few are just so good at it. Still on board here with Ryan Kerr in second place, and right down to the braking zone of the front stretch chicane. Man, those curves are something.
Yeah, you really have to attack them a lot. You really have to have the car jumping to make sure you get, you know, the most time, the best time possible throughout the racetrack. And that's going to be a challenge. If you push up a little bit too much on those curbs, you might just correct your car and find yourself, you know, overcorrecting it into the wall. So it's a really big challenge. As you can see, a car looks like, is that Aubrey coming out of the pits? Yeah, so unfortunately already 2 laps down, if I'm not mistaken, only 1 lap down. So yeah, a really big struggle. Looks like we have another car. That's the number 64 still. So Robert Guadagnoli, looks like he had a big contact with the wall.
Yeah, a lot of damage there to car 64. But hey, we continue on. Agustin Castro, your leader, Ryan Kerr, Alex Persian, second and third. Mike Braun a bit off pace here. Way off pace. His car 107. Did he get a slowdown maybe? It takes a little bit of talent to get a slowdown here at Charlotte. He's got a lot of right front damage. You know what he did? He popped that concrete wall between 7 and 8. Guarantee you.
Oh, that's really gonna hurt him. He's slow, and yeah, you can see a lot of damage right there, Andrew. So unfortunately for him, that's gonna be a trip down in the pit lane, and he's gonna be dropping all those positions he made on lap number 1. Obviously, he's gonna drop that qualifying effort as well. Now we're gonna take a look at the replay to see exactly what happened. And this is coming through the hammerhead. The damage was on the right side, wasn't it? So
it's going to be in 7. It's going to be the exit of 7.
Yeah.
He pops that concrete wall. I've done it a million times. And anybody who's run here for NIS, you know, around the Roval in the NASCAR Cup stock cars, or even any of the other NASCAR stock cars, you've done it too. I guarantee you. At some point, you pop this wall right at that safety light, and yep. Knew exactly, when I saw him off pace and I saw that right front damage, I knew exactly what he's done. We've all done it so many times here.
Absolutely. I guess that's just part of Charlotte. It could be, I don't know the word in English, baptism around the racetrack to do it on race space. So
yeah, an initiation, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's just bound to happen with everybody. Doesn't matter which car you drive. So unfortunately for him, it happened on race pace and on the second, third lap. So really early on, really unfortunate. But, you know, the rest of the battles, Andrew, they still rage on.
Some damaged cars here. This is 7th and 8th. Diego Eda in 7th and Rasmussen in 8th. He's going to go for a pass. Oh, no, he sticks back in behind Diego. Thought better of it. But both these guys have some damage, I'm assuming, from curbs already, and Rasmussen goes around. Wow. He's going to have to hold there for a while and wait for an opening in traffic. Finally gets rolling now, and oh, be careful there. Get back over to the right. He does, and he'll continue on, dropping now to a 19th position. Here comes William Valdez to take 19th away, dropping behind Aubrey Kundal. Now, Aubrey is 1 lap down, so no concern there. And oh, Diego Eda goes around out of the front stretch chicane.
Oh, yeah, so maybe just attacking those curbs we talked about, Andrew, a bit too much. Unfortunately, he's going to be losing quite a few positions. It looks like, there's a lot of damage as well. So
he already had a lot of that, but yeah.
Yeah, so maybe even, you know, just icing on the cake, just a little bit more damage after the overcorrection maybe. But you can see even more battles coming down to the hammerhead. Nearly 2 wide action for 2 rows, but we stick it in line. But yeah, lots of actions in. Oh no, the number 5 finds himself on the wall on the entry of the hammerhead.
Yeah, the 05 of Armando Bejaran. Big problems there. Go ahead and get a replay here. This is something we've seen as well. Drivers getting used to the hammerhead. It is a very tricky braking zone, and I've learned more recently you can kind of roll that center of the corner. If you kind of charge turn 3, you can roll the center and not touch the brake or the throttle again until you get on the power for turn 4. But oh, he gets hit. He gets hit by Mike Weir.
Yeah, so just challenging down that corner and unfortunately contact. And that's the thing we mentioned. No runoff areas means you're just going to end up on that tire wall or the concrete wall. Luckily for him, it was the tire, but you can see,
wow.
Yeah, just a bit of contact. And I'm not quite sure if it is just a racing incident. I think it is just battling through the same piece of tarmac, and unfortunately they came together.
Oh, big crashing now on the front stretch. Joshua Benjamin and more involved. Let's go right back into replay then. We had just gone back to live picture, but sometimes duty calls. In this case, there is definitely a bit of a big junk here on the front stretch. Watch Armando, or not Armando Bejaran, Diego Eda there in front. Joshua Benjamin, and oh, one car comes right through the braking zone. You see William Love go through. But who was that? Oh my goodness, who was that got Joshua? That's what I'm wondering.
And just got him under brake, and I'm pretty sure the wheel was locked at that point.
Harris. Yes, it was. We'll go back a ways. You'll see Billy Barrowman have an issue here in the chicane. Watch the car just behind Milan Harris, the last car in line. There's Billy with an issue into the chicane, a little bit, well, yeah, loses the car at exit. That's what happens there. But then we'll go on board with Milan Harris, and this is where the actual incident occurs, JP. It looks like definitely, as you started to talk about, lock up here into the braking zone, and you even mentioned it in qualifying. This braking zone for the front stretch chicane, that bump compresses the car and does weird things. If you're not expecting it, that's exactly what happens. You run deep, and certainly big problems happen further back. And Joshua Benjamin pretty well out of this race at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he got parked. He tried to hold the brakes to avoid any further contact, but unfortunately he was just right on the apex, and at that point there was nothing that the other drivers could do. But yeah, as you mentioned, another early end of the race, pretty much halfway through. But yeah, this battle, Andrew, is still very close. Kerr's kind of keeping up pace with Castro. Looks like that pace is still fluctuating. And essentially the top four is still all together 2 seconds apart between first and fourth. This is really close, so no margin for error for these guys, which is something that I really appreciate. And look at them, they all just keeping the same distance, aren't they?
Yeah, they've stayed about equidistant up in the top four. Pierre Thompson's dropped off a little bit. Now, it looks like Pierre held a starting spot. He's still in fifth, so props to him there, but it did look concerning when he just kind of disappeared in qualifying. Looked like he had been disqualified potentially, but maybe just had towed. He was going slow enough maybe that he was able to tow from that spot even while he was rolling. On board, though, with Brian Long in the fourth spot, tailing, Alex Persian for third, Ryan Kerr there in second, and Agustin Castro still leading. I'm very impressed with this run so far by Brian Long. We've seen good things out of him before. He's won amateur races. In fact, he's won in class in amateur races before. But this is something different for him. This amateur competition level has certainly gone up. It's risen with this new season, and Brian took a minute, but now I think he's rising to that occasion as well. He's been around, kind of around the top 10 or so, but this is a good run for him inside the top four, and all it takes is one mistake from the guys ahead, and he's in the top three.
Absolutely, and that's the thing that I kind of like about pushing the field, I guess, to perfection. Obviously, when you invite new challenges and people that have, like really strong, even qualifying pace or race pace, like you can say Agustin Castro and Alex Persian, drivers that may take a minute, they're going to rise up to that challenge and practice more and harder to try to find a pace. And often they'll get, coaching to make sure they improve, to make sure they get a challenge. And Brian is doing a fantastic job, as you mentioned, fourth place, only 2 seconds. So a single mistake by any of those guys, and he's up to the overall podium. And well, if something else happens, he's still very likely within a shot of the win.
Looks like Diego Eda has had another big issue, and he might even be done for the day. Let's go ahead and go back in replay and see if we can't find out what's gone on here, as that was interesting. Go ahead and come back over here. Okay, there we go. We have got it back. Let's go ahead and go back and find out what happened to Diego Eda recently. Looks like it's going to be in the infield. And potentially up over turn 6. So watch car 77. Black and orange. Already got a lot of right side damage. We talked about it earlier. We saw some of the issues for him earlier, but this is kind of a new issue, and it seems like it's race ending.
So you can see through the redneck roller coaster.
Oh, connection issue potentially.
Yeah, it just disappeared. So completely not what we were expecting. But yeah, unfortunately for Diego, he was persevering through that damage, but unfortunately it looks like his connection had other ideas.
Big issues for the race lead. Agustin Castro's got a lot of right side damage. I don't know if that's a curb or a wall he's hit. It might have been the turn 7 wall, just like Mike Braun earlier, and Ryan Kerr is all over it like an ant on honey. He is ready for the race lead.
I'm pretty sure it was the same wall we mentioned before, Andrew. I feel like it has to be turn 7. And, well, Ryan Kerr now is going to have a real shot because Castro is really going to be losing a lot of time down the straightaways.
Very deep.
Kerr going really deep under braking. Castro holding his zone. This is going to bring even Persian back. Brian Long still 2 seconds back. So now it's a top 3 fight, and Castro certainly on the back foot now.
That was close into that chicane. While these guys are split for the moment, I want to go back and see if we can find out what happened to Agustin Castro. This is really, really big, obviously. Shapes the rest of this race. That damage is going to be really tough for him to fight back from. And yes, I do believe it was in turn 7. We've seen it so many times before. I talked about it earlier. If you've ever run a stock car here, tried to practice anything here, really, you've likely hit it probably a few dozen times. And this is a look at it for car 014. We saw Mike Braun do it on lap number 2 earlier today. And Agustin Castro, unfortunately, the latest victim of the turn 7 concrete wall. Let's watch it. Pow! Right there.
That just hurts. It's definitely going to sting him as well. He's going to be punching himself.
Oh, and they've just crashed!
Oh.
Agustin Castro and Ryan Kerr will come back from replay, and you'll see the tail end of it. We have just had a big crash for the race lead. Alex Persian is through to the race lead. Oh my goodness, up onto the oval, and I have to imagine there was a move made, and one car didn't agree with the other, and we've had some big issues on the backstretch. Watch for this one. Agustin Castro, black and pink. Ryan Kerr, white, blue, and light blue. Watch this one.
Because Kerr just has that speed advantage. He's going to look down the inside. Oh, it looks like Agustina just tried to essentially close the door at the last minute, but Ryan was already there, wasn't he?
It almost looks like they closed the door on each other. They were trying to fight on through. They didn't want to go the same way in the revolving door. They went each the wrong way, and they realized why you have to go one way in the revolving door. Watch this one more time. That is so tough.
That is very hard.
Get one more replay. We're going to watch this from Kerr's perspective, and I think this will really shed some light on the deal. Now, admittedly, if I'm Ryan Kerr here and I get this run at a NASCAR 2, I'm going high. You go to the wall, there's more room up there, but he does go low, and I really think they both drive into each other. Agustin definitely came down, but I think Ryan Kerr, if you're going to make that move down there, you can hold it down there, and he kind of pop back up after the corner. Again, I think Ryan should have probably gone high. There's more room up there. Take that room to the top side. And I think also, once Agustin sees that car go low, simply for self-preservation, you then go high. Give that guy some room. Race it out. You have 17 minutes to go, and now they're both taken out of the race because neither one of them wanted to wait.
Yeah, so that's just going to give Alex the win, the win so far. We've seen cars, especially the leader, just touching the wall and getting damage. That's going to promote Brian Long as well to second place, 3 seconds away from the leader. And yeah, this really took an interesting, I guess the race took an interesting turn. Unfortunately, both of the leaders out of the race. And yeah, well, Todd Malik up in 4th place as well, Andrew. Pierre Thompson in 3rd.
This is big for both of these two. Pierre Thompson, Todd Malik going to have a good run out of this. And you know what? Even Scott Angelo completing that top 5 and putting 2 Samsoid Canon drivers in this top 5. And, well, Samsoid Blue drivers, rather, Malik and Angelo. Brian Zinn now sits in 6th, so a good day for him. This is really, really big, actually. He comes in tonight only 10 points out of the points lead, and now with Agustin Castro wrecked and in 13th spot. Now, he wrecked and got a fast fix, got back out there, but that's still going to be a big loss of points compared to winning this race. So, Alex Persian, Brian Zinn, big opportunity.
Absolutely. This is going to be, their chance to haul some points back to make sure they get that championship lead. And it's just going to be interesting. Something I noticed, Andrew, wasn't Pierre Thompson the one reversing in qualifying who we thought was disqualified?
Yeah, that's what I talked about earlier. He kept a starting spot clearly. May still have been disqualified, may have just towed because he was going slow enough. But, hey, things are working out for him. That's what matters. He's in 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and Brian Long looks like has an issue. Looks like the timing sheets.
Alex Persian, maybe, is now listed 2nd. Brian Long, you're right, had some kind of issue. He's now listed... Oh, he's in 7th. He was just 2nd, so move Pierre Thompson up.
Oh, and a lot of right front damage to that car as well.
So throwing scoring into a Fritz there. Let's see what happens here for Brian Long. He's already got a bunch of left front damage. Don't think he had that before. Right front damage, rather, if I had said left front. Into the front of chicane. Pops that curb, pops that curb. Oh, he popped all 4 tires in the air. Goes back down, lands awkwardly, does a spin. Did he have that damage prior to that, though?
I don't think so. Obviously,
it looks like he did, actually, a couple of laps back.
Because he dropped the pace. He was 1 second away from Alex, and as soon as Alex took the lead, he was 3 seconds away. So probably the damage came from there.
You know what? I think he'd already had the damage even before the issue with Castro and Kerr. So that damage has been there for a minute, but he's definitely losing a lot of time. So you're right there. He's losing a lot of time. He lost a lot of time quickly, but that damage actually has been around for a minute. So we'll let him do his thing. He is now in the 7th spot. As here we go. Car 03, Ilya Speaker all over Brian Zinn. This is for 5th.
It's a good battle for 5th place. Brian's definitely going to be trying to soak in all that pressure, kind of trying to focus on the guy ahead, of trying to focus on Angelo to catch up to him. But Speaker, well, not giving him a single inch of space. You can see, just really pushing the number 23 to its limit, trying to find any weaknesses on that car and the driver as well. But looks like nothing was found just yet.
And to go back to that incident out of NASCAR 2, as Ryan Kerr is back in the pit lane, looks like he could be done for the day, unfortunately. To go back to that incident, Ryan goes low, and again, I think he's got a better chance of just going high, taking the wider opening and battling around the outside, because yes, you got the outside for the first apex, but then you're on the inside for the second apex, and that's where you get the power down. That's where it matters a little bit more. But regardless, he went down to the bottom, and he popped up a little bit. Agustin Castro realized there was a car there, went up, and then came down, or either just tracked out up and came back down to try and cover it up. They both turned into each other, and unfortunately, again, I just think either one of them could have prevented that, and maybe something you look back on and learn from. But I think if it was to happen now, JP, you're getting down to 10 minutes to go. That's a little more excusable. But when you've got 17 minutes left in the race, just wait. Just wait a second. It's okay to battle, but just wait a second. Let's not do anything too drastic. Take the opening that is much larger than just the little door being cracked open.
I can see, obviously, Ryan's point of view on that move. Obviously, we know the overtaking opportunities around here are limited, and obviously, if you get your chance, you need to make sure you, I guess, fulfill it to the best. I guess, you just need to just use that opportunity that you got. And obviously, he was looking down the inside, and he kind of, I guess, just felt that under the chicane, the inside line, is just a preferred line, even if you're going to be on the outside for the second part. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, they came together, and that happened that they're both out of the race, well, at least both out of the lead battle. Looks like Sean Patterson just had a little bit of an issue as well, as we're on board with Dan Willis battling for 8th place. But yeah, Andrew, it's just something that happens. Agustin Castro looks like he's back on the pits as well, so both of them back on the pits for different reasons, look like. So looks like even more trouble for the 14.
And this will come after contact with Sean Patterson that you were just talking about. So watch this into the front stretch chicane. Castro goes to the inside, Patterson on the outside. Patterson turns in. Castro overran it. Contact there. That puts Patterson in the wall. And something happens here with Castro. He just kind of... Oh, he might have hit the incident limit potentially and just decided, you know what, that's it. I've got some heartburn. I'm done.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that's going to be the end of the race for Agustin as well. So... yeah, that's going to cost him in the championship. That could cost him. Not pretty sure if he already used his drop week, but if he hasn't, well, this is it. So normal mistakes allowed him for the rest of the championship. This, well, the last few rounds are definitely going to be interesting, as this battle right here, Andrew, definitely hasn't died down.
We're just looking briefly at Brian Long, Miguel Cardozo, and Dan Willis. Let's go back to them now. We're watching Long and Cardozo currently as they round the redneck roller coaster up at the top of the course and right back down to the bottom of turn 7. This is for 7th, 8th, and 9th. A really interesting little battle. I think this is what the lead was initially, where they're kind of equidistant and just in a train running around here and waiting for one driver to make a mistake. And you're just hoping at this point that it's not you. You want to put some pressure on. You don't want to be too aggressive, as Long might have company now. He does, side by side, down to the backstretch chicane. Oh, and Cardozo's in too deep.
Yeah, just completely missed his brake. He's realized he was not going to make the corner. Unfortunately, he's going to have to slow down and give up a lot of time. So, well, that's going to be one position left for him as well. Oh, no.
Boy, was that some timing. In the bus stop chicane on the backstretch, noses it into the wall, and he will drop down to the 12th position now. Trouble there for William Love. Let's see, another battle on the racetrack. William Valdez and Milan Harris. This is for the 15th position. And Armando Bejaran is 2 seconds back. Who's this car right behind them? That is Joshua Benjamin just behind. Joshua Benjamin, in case you're wondering, is 1 lap down in 24th, 11 seconds behind Aubrey Kundal, and trying to make that time up.
They're trying to make that time, trying to get a position late on the race. But this battle right here, Andrew, this might slow him down. Exactly what he doesn't need. But exactly what these drivers need to essentially battle, trying to get the 15th spot. Could be a good change of points for them, and obviously could move them up in the championship ladder. Looks like we have a car without a bonnet right here, without at least the front part. Looks like it. The number 11, is that Rasmussen? Yeah, so Rasmussen racing with less aerodynamic car, I guess you can say, just past Clarence Rosa, who looks like just got passed by Mike Braun as well.
A couple of Team Empire teammates there. And Braun will take over the 19th spot. Rasmussen up to 18th, and Clarence Rosa drops down to 20th position. I think he's just taking the safe and slow kind of approach here, just accepting that this is a tough place. Let's just try and get as many points as I can without tearing the car up. And in this case, he's just keeping the car nice and clean. It might be the cleanest car on the racetrack, aside from race leader Alex Persian currently, who now has 7 minutes to go. And this could be, I think, a big turning point in the season. If you remember, he opened the season up with a win at Hockenheimring, JP, but then it seemed like it was all Agustin Castro's championship. Now comes into Charlotte, 7 points out, and it certainly looks like he's going to win this race by 8 seconds or more over Pierre Thompson. This would be his 3rd win on the season, 2nd in a row. This could be the big turning point in the championship that we were waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be, exactly what he needs right now to essentially get the championship lead back, essentially build some points as well. He's going to get a lot of points over Agustin Castro, especially if Agustin, yeah, he's outside of the top 20. So, this is exactly what Persian needed on this race, and well, it's pretty much a dream come true, isn't it, Andrew? Obviously, he will want it to beat Agustin on track, but, if it happens, it happens. I'm pretty sure he won't be complaining at the post-race interview.
Yeah, certainly not, because as much as you want to beat somebody in a heads-up battle, this is what gets you those points. This is what gives you that points advantage, and even just being this far ahead of Brian Zinn, this is going to be a really big day for Alex Persian. Currently watching Brian Zinn, actually, as he pulls up to Scott Angelo and stays just ahead of Ilya Speaker. Angelo with a slowdown gives that spot up. Ilya gets real close, and now move Brian Zinn up to 4th. So I know Alex is ahead of Brian right now, but as the dominoes continue to fall, as more drivers bite the dust, Brian Zinn starting to work his way up. So not a great qualifying effort, admittedly, for car 23, but starting to work his way back forward.
Yeah, exactly what he needs. Obviously, it's a fantastic race, Andrew. Starting 18th and being, well, currently in 4th place.
Big.
Wow, that is massive, especially around Charlotte. That would have been big in Monza, in Spa, any other track, but in Charlotte, that is fantastic.
And again, you just got to go out there and survive for 30 minutes. It's really all you have to do, and you'll probably come away with a decent position here. That's what most of these guys have done. Think of Alex Persian, Pierre Thompson, Todd Malik up front. They've all just outlasted other cars. They outlasted Agustin Castro and Ryan Kerr. They're now your podium finishers, or at least podium runners for now. And in the case of Brian Zinn, he has just outlasted these guys, passed a few more. He's up to 4th. Ilya Speaker, kind of same thing there in 5th spot. Scott Angelo in 6th. These guys have all just kept their cars clean for this race, and they're just putting themselves together for the end of the races. Here we go. Cardozo and Long battling once again. So yeah, they're just out here outlasting other drivers, and that's what championship seasons are made out of if you're Alex Persian or Brian Zinn in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, not even bad moves, but some, just contact like that, battling. And obviously, instance, it's just going to cost you the championship. And obviously, Alex was exactly where he needed to be to get that position. But this battle right here, Andrew, seems to be a good battle. Looks like for 7th position, if I'm not mistaken. So still a lot of points to grab for these guys. I wonder who's going to come out on top. Miguel Cardozo, obviously, currently running up front. Brian Long chasing him down. I don't know who has the advantage, the guy who has the track position or the guy who can force you into a mistake.
With 3 minutes to go, easily the guy with the track position. We've seen it be tough to pass here. There are passing opportunities, I think several on this racetrack. Turn 1 comes to mind, turn 3 even if you're getting desperate. Of course, you can even try turn 5 if there's a mistake in turn 4. You can absolutely try on this oval that we saw with Ryan Kerr, trying to take that opportunity into either chicane. There's plenty of places to pass. You just got to set it up and do it right, and it takes multiple things to go right. It's not just a matter of get there and try and pass like some of the racetracks. So you've got to put things together, but there are places to get by. But with 3 minutes to go, it's very easy to start covering those places up.
Yeah, absolutely. And At this moment in time, Andrew, if you're Brian Long, are you pushing to the limit or are you just, taking it a little bit easy, knowing it's probably not worth risking? Looks like these two guys are giving us the answer with 3 minutes to go. It's plenty of time to essentially risk a few moves and getting a few extra points. Looks like nothing will happen as, wow, almost contact between these two. This is some interesting battle. Willis. Yeah, he looks like he got a bit of a touch to the wall. That could hurt him. Castillo looks like he got a big compromise on turn 1. He's going to be losing a bit of time, but this seems to be very interesting with 2 minutes and 40 to go.
Jeff Castillo just lost the spot down to 10th place now, just a little ways ahead of Dre DeVots. And if Dre can get there, that would be good for, again, the 10th position. And a top 10 is always nice, but Dan Willis just got that spot away, popped it into the wall there on the front stretch, and seems like he's okay. So props to him. Ilya Speaker continuing to work on Brian Zinn. Onto the oval, into the backstretch, in fact, into that backstretch chicane, and things are getting tight. Things are getting tight both on the stopwatch and on the telemetry. Down to 3/10, it was even closer into that braking zone, and Zinn starting to walk maybe a little bit. Now Speaker starting to use that draft, starting to close back in. Toughest braking zone of the racetrack right here for the front stretch chicane, popping back onto that flat. Speaker works out wide, gets an arc. I think Zinn might have had the better corner though.
Yeah, if you just go a little bit too wide on the entry of the chicane, you're really going to be compromised. You really just have to attack if you want to gain as much time as possible. You really need your car to be essentially on 2 wheels. You need to turn your Porsche into a motorcycle, but it's just so risky. Scott Angelo just behind them, and you're trying to, well, essentially get 2 free spots. We saw that happening early today. Definitely could happen once again. Scott, just kind of following half a second behind. Andrew Rasmussen looks like he just had another issue on the backstretch chicane, and his race just gone from bad to worse, isn't it?
Rasmussen now drops to 19th position, just ahead of Sean Patterson. And here we go, Ilya Speaker. Let's go right back up to this battle. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th. Brian Zinn, Ilya Speaker, and Scott Angelo. In fact, Angelo is now closer to Speaker than Speaker is to Zinn, so this could be a battle for 5th place now, as opposed to a battle for 4th. Let's go up front to our race leader, though. He's coming around to take the white flag presented by presented by Whiplash Simcams. I'm still into that rhythm, as car 79 does take that white flag. Boy, the season he's starting to put together is starting to get very, very impressive. Again, it started out slowly, even despite that round 1 win. Seemed like Agustin Castro was easily the car to beat, and things have certainly changed since February. Car 79, very much the driver to watch. That master class at Spa last week, thanks to Giuliano Romagnolo. I wonder if Giuliano helped him through this one as well. This seems like another big Maradness kind of day. Just really, really big stuff here from Alex Persian.
Absolutely, and let's remember, it's his first competitive season on iRacing, isn't it? His first league race, so his first league season, I guess you can say. So a really good job for him, soaking in all that pressure, putting in that practice hours that you need to excel, to make sure you nail each and every single corner, let it be on qualifying or the race. He's just been doing a fantastic job nursing his car. You can see his car looks like brand new, Andrew. Not a single scratch, not a single dent on that Porsche, which is exactly what I need, especially on a track like Charlotte. I guess he can say he defied all odds, starting in 3rd place. But he's going to come out on the final chicane, Andrew, on the lead, and, well, that's what you want to be on the final lap.
Big W on the way for car 79. Alex Persian is going to win another. Congratulations, Alex. Win number 3 on the season, and it's a commanding one here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Big stuff. Again, for Alex, and Giuliano did just chime in on the YouTube chat saying, yes, it is a big day for Maradness coaching there for car 79. Definitely played a part there for Alex Persian today. Let's see, cheering on Scotty, it looks like, I'd imagine Scott Angelo, as well as Alex and Dan Willis, of course. So definitely cheering on a few of those Maradness in-house cars and associated drivers. Big stuff. And again, goes to show why you have to check out Maradness as far as any kind of driver coaching, and it goes hand in hand with setups from DRS. Those are 2 of the big parts you need on iRacing to put things together into a big season. DRS for the setups and Maradness for the driver coaching. That will get you where you need to be on the sim. But this amateur race comes to a close. 13 cars have come by the start-finish line. We're waiting on William Love, Mike Braun, and Milan Harris. As you can see him drive under the flag stand there. Barney just waving his arm off. Next up will be the battle of Mike Braun and Milan Harris. They're coming to the flag right about now, into that chicane, out of that chicane. No position change there. It's quite tough unless you get a really good run off the oval, JP, to actually make a move in that final chicane.
Absolutely. It was a very difficult race. You can see the final few cars coming in. But, I'm happy for each and every single driver that took part, Andrew. It was definitely, I guess, the most challenging round of the season. Won't you agree?
I would definitely. Well, no. No, I would
No.
say Long Beach might have been a little more challenging for these guys, especially by, the amount of cars. I think Charlotte might be a little more difficult of a racetrack, but Long Beach, when you throw that many cars on there, I don't know, actually. That's tough. I think Long Beach is more difficult. Anyways, here we go. Race results from the amateur race.
Yeah, Alex Version is going to end up winning the race. First place, 8.3 second ahead of second place, Pierre Thompson. A really good race for both of them. Todd Malik in third, running off the podium. Brian Zinn in fourth place ahead of Ely Speaker. In fifth, Scott Angelo in sixth. Miguel Angel Cardoso in seventh place ahead of Brian Long. Dan Willis in ninth place. And Andrea Devas in 10th place, Andrew. So something happened with that battle for 10th place. I'm interested to see what happened.
Castillo loses that spot then to Trey Devants, and will finish 11th place here today in car number 10. Billy Bowerman, pretty good recovery there, up to 12th position. Really good run for Zachary Rosar as well. Even William Love recovering and hanging on to a 14th spot. Mike Braun drops down to 15th after his issue on lap number 2. Milan Harris there in 16th. Armando Bejaran, Andrew Rasmussen, Clarence Rosa, and Sean Patterson all have some pretty rough days and finish 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th.
21st will go the way of Aubrey Kondo, William Valdez in 22nd, both of them one lap down. Joshua Benjamin and Ryan Kerr, 23rd, 24th, 5 laps down each. Mike Weir and Agustin Castro, 9 laps down, both of them 25th and 26th respectively. Diego Era in 27th, Robert Guadagnoli in 28th, and Daniel Harris in 29th place, 24 laps down.
So race number 1 on the evening, done and dusted. JP, would you like to go ahead and take the honors of speaking with our race winner, Alex Bergen?
Oh, I would love to.
Well, he is on his way. 3 wins now on the season. It's starting to be a big championship run here for Car 79.
So, Alex, 3rd win of the season, 2nd win in a row. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels great. This race was definitely interesting. It's an interesting track.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting track. It's definitely difficult, but you started in 3rd place and you held a position for, I guess, 2/3 of the race, and then, well, something happened in front of you.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch that because I don't really know what happened there because I saw that they were fighting a little bit, and so I just kind of like held my line and expected that I would have to brake a little bit earlier and let them get through the chicane and continue on. But then all of a sudden, I didn't see them in my side view, and so I kind of like I almost outbroke myself because I was like trying to figure out where they were on the track in order to not hit them. But yeah, it's kind of weird.
Obviously, running with them, while you were in 3rd place, how difficult was it to get close enough and line up a move?
Yeah, that was tough. This track is so difficult to line up a move for because the infield is just almost impossible, and then the oval where you would traditionally be able to line up a move, there's only really 1 section, maybe 2 if you're really brave into the final chicane. But you have to get a really good run because the straight is so short. So I knew, like, starting in 3rd, I knew that I probably would be much better off by just hanging back and trying to hold on to them and save my tires, because I was noticing in practice that the tires go off really quickly. And so I was just trying to kind of not push the front tires too much and just be patient.
Absolutely. And just to quickly round this off in a few words, what do you expect for next week?
Next week is Road Atlanta, I'm pretty sure, and that's one of my favorite tracks, so I'm really looking forward to it. Whatever ends up happening in regards to placements, it'll just be great from the standpoint of racing at that track. It's just a fantastic track.
Well, absolutely. With that being said, Alex, I'm gonna let you focus for that race, and hopefully we can talk to you then.
Thank you much.
And Andrew, that was Alex Bergen, 3rd-time winner of the season, 2nd win for him in a row. A really good race for him. So, and it sounds like he's excited for Road America as well. For Road Atlanta, sorry.
Yeah, certainly a big day there for Alex. The 3rd one on the season is always refreshing as a driver. So, again, I'm going to keep saying it. It's looking like he's putting together a championship season. Just that consistency, missing crashes, and missing that big drama that unfortunately Agustin Castro was involved in today with Ryan Kerr. Yeah, it's looking very, very good for Alex Purge. Going to be exciting to see where the season goes from here. These last 2 weeks of the season for the amateur guys at Road Atlanta and at Red Bull Ring in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be very, very exciting to see what Car 79 can do. And of course, Brian Zinn is right on his coattails, really not too far back. He was 3 points back of Alex coming into this evening. I'm excited to see how that changes, and obviously excited to see where Agustin Castro actually sorts out, because we don't know that Alex will be the points leader. We just know that this will absolutely be Agustin's drop week or very close to it. So if this isn't his drop week, then yeah, Agustin is in trouble and is going to have his work cut out for him in the next 2 races. But the Pro-Am race is on the way this evening. We will take a step aside and get ready for 50 minutes of action with a pit stop in between. Don't you go anywhere. More action here on PitStopTV is on the way. Welcome back to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway in the virtual Concord, North Carolina. Easily one of NASCAR's most prestiged venues, easily NASCAR's home venue. This place is home to some great racing week in, week out, year in, year out. Doesn't matter the series, doesn't matter the track. Well, I say the track, doesn't matter the layout here. Of course, you can have several different races going on here at Charlotte Motor Speedway at once, and that is often how things work. You might have a legend car race in the front stretch or even on the road course in the infield. You might have a kart race going on the other end of the speedway. You could have a dirt race across the street, some drag racing over at ZMAX Dragway. You could even have a legends car race or bandolier race on the 5th mile oval off of the backstretch. There's so many different ways you can have races here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It is truly a versatile little venue here in Concord, North Carolina, and for that reason, I think that is one of the reasons that I love this place so much. You can have like 3 or 4 different races happening on once in the same property, if not more. So it's really, really cool to see what they're able to do here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we are racing here this evening. We just had that amateur race wrap up a few moments ago, and we are ready for some pro-am racing. JP already into qualifying. Let's take a quick moment to just look back over the track map and then take a look at points.
Yeah, so the track map, obviously, if you were watching the M race, you're going to be quite familiar. Obviously, turn 1, quite difficult left-hander. Turn 2, you really need to get as close as possible to that barrier, the concrete barrier that separates the pit lane exit with the track. Turn 3 and 4, the hammerhead, quite difficult, but really flowing. Be careful on the exit with the AstroTurf. Then turns 5, 6, 7, and 8, Andrew, redneck roller coaster are really fun, yet really tricky, challenging, and easy to make mistake.
Yeah, really, that redneck roller coaster, I think, encapsulates turn 5 all the way through turn 8, because you start at the bottom of turn 5, you rise up into turn 6, go right back down into turn 7, then you come back up into turn 8 and back up onto the oval. That's a 35-foot difference all told, and that puts you back onto NASCAR 1 and 2, back up onto the oval, into the backstretch chicane, which has evolved over the years. It used to be much smaller, much more different, much faster, much more dangerous. They've evolved it to make it a proper chicane now, and I think it really is a much better corner for it. That puts you on a NASCAR 3 and 4 and back around the oval to the front stretch, and that front stretch chicane is oh so difficult. That braking zone, one of the toughest in NASCAR, certainly the toughest I think here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It is going to be a challenge for these pros and pro-ams. We've got another car or two over what we had in the amateur race, and this is how points break down coming into today. Luke Krause, a couple of wins of the season. Victor Miranda, though, only 1 point behind, and look at Andre Melchers, JP. He's back into the fray, tied for 4th with Brady Lubinow.
Yeah, Andrew Melchers is definitely
I did
coming
type
back.
Andrew. I am so used to typing Andrew that just I will do that, just not even thinking about it. So I apologize to Andre, but that is Andre Melchers.
Yeah, I was like, Andrew, that doesn't sound too right, but Andre Melcher is definitely coming back into the championship, tied up with, as you mentioned, Brady, Lubinow, and Victor still winless, but only 1 point behind Luke. It's really close battle. Matthew Dent just showing again, like Victor, that consistency is the key. He's still very close to the championship. When we look to the Pro-Am, Lawrence Zavadil, 3 wins of the season, 13 points behind, 13 points ahead of Paulo Godoy in second place, Scott Kimbrough in third, 33 points. So, Andrew, I don't think, but I think it's right to say it's only a 2-horse race at this point in the Pro-Am. Obviously, if both of them get bad luck and Scott ends up winning, well, he's just going to be right back at the championship, but it's really close, and I really love this championship between both classes.
I'm inclined to agree, but I wouldn't rule out Scott Kimbrough or Rafael Bonifacio just yet, just because of the spread of points and the way they score points with the pros mixed in, and having to share points that way. I really wouldn't rule out Scott Kimbrough or Rafael Bonifacio until after this evening, depending on how the points break down. I think you can start to rule out Lowy Santi, potentially even John Sedlak and Nicholas Michel, and guys further on back, but I don't think you can rule out the entire top 4 third and fourth just yet. And similarly, over in Pro, I don't think you can rule out even all the way down through Spencer Marsh potentially. I think Spencer's got a chance. It's a long shot, certainly, but I think at least a chance here. You can start to rule out guys like Fabio Zamperlini, though, and even Sam Soid there in 8th, and Neto Nascimento, Raquel Ruderbush. Those guys are just about out of it. You see the times checking in, though, going purple across the top of your screen. We won't hold you back from that any longer. Spencer Kostowitz, back for the first time in a couple of weeks, looking pretty quick.
Yeah, looking pretty quick. Less than half a tenth ahead of Luke Krause, so he's doing what he has to do. Brady Lubinow in third, Mikhail Ruderbush in 4th place. really close qualifying session throughout, which is kind of what we expect. The highlight for me so far, Andrew, is 6th place. I mean, this is really well. Now the highlight changed. Bonifacio just ahead of him. Really close qualifying as well on the Pro-Am side. Really liking these guys, mixing it up.
Wow.
With the wow. Really mixing up with the Pro-Am guy. The
Oh
Pro
my
guys
gosh,
and
Brady
bringing
Lubenow. I love this paint scheme already. It's got dinosaurs. This guy, he's a geologist or something or other. I forget exactly which. But he works with rocks and dinosaurs and fossils. And I'm going to be a child for a moment and just love on this paint scheme. I've been telling him for a few weeks he needs dinosaurs all over it. I don't know who painted it, but I want to give that person a hug. We got dinosaurs back on the 11 car. He went purple for a moment. Fabio Zamperlini then went purple. And Victor Miranda then went purple. So the top three have just each had a share of the pole, but Victor Miranda currently holds it. And Kostowitz up to third.
Up to third, but Andrew, he's up to third, less than a tenth of a second behind second place, which is really impressive.
Oh,
but when you consider,
here goes his teammate to third.
Yeah, Nick Ludicky, all of them, the second, third, and fourth are on the same 10th, but they're half a second behind the number 17. Half a second. That is insane on qualifying. Really good pace from the number 17. The number 16, as we mentioned, in third place. But I'm in shock.
And yet, Victor Miranda is not your points leader. Luke Kraus is. And Kraus is now down at a 7th in qualifying, 3/4 of a second behind Victor Miranda. It's come down to mistakes. It's come down to other people's mistakes, more so I think for Victor Miranda and a couple of his own, and just being in the wrong place at the wrong time that have really kept him from leading this championship. Now into second, back by only 1 point, but hey, he's not first, and that's the big deal, is he is not leading the way currently. The Pro-Am pole is moving hands, changing hands, and look at that, Lawrence Zavadil up to the top of the board, just as Nicholas Michel, I forget if it's Michael or Michel, I'm going to go with Michael. Nicholas Michael up into the 4th spot. He was looking so quick for Maradness, nearly had a pole for a little while, and Lawrence Savadil comes in and steals it away again. Nick Ludicky looking fast in car 16. Justin Sang just went up to 16th on the board. Rafael Bonifacio has dropped down to 12th, and Luke Kraus is now up inside the top 3.
Luke doing what he needs to do to essentially try to hold that championship lead, or essentially, limit the damage that, the race could prove to him, especially qualifying 3rd place. Sadlak just trying to finish up his lap coming into NASCAR's 1 and 2, same as Paulo Godoy. He just came up from Freshford. When was that on the GT side of things? I can't quite remember.
GT side of things, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say Lawrence still won at Spa last week. And see, with 2 series with a lot of the same drivers, we're starting to get pretty confused. But I believe Paulo is a couple weeks removed from his Porsche Cup win, and would certainly like to get one this evening, but he is well down the order. He's in 17th right now in qualifying out of 30. That's behind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other Pro-Am drivers, and that's certainly not going to do it. That's a lot of damage there for car 933, so Paulo, it looks like, will only start as good as 17th, if not worse. Matthew Dench on the Speedway, though, looking pretty okay. Needs to pick up some time, but at least he's here.
Yeah, he's currently 24th place. Obviously, he's 3rd in the championship, so I expect to see this car shooting up the qualifying sheets, especially on this 2nd lap, if I'm not mistaken, from him, maybe the 3rd lap. But yeah, he's definitely going to be trying to improve. Currently 1.5 seconds behind.
Lap 4. This is his last chance, I think.
Lap 4. Wow.
Actually, no, I think his laps are done. This might just be his cooldown.
Oh, so yeah, 1 minute and 10, and he's still exiting the backhand chicane. So really bad qualifying session from Matthew Dench. I don't think there's any way around it. So he really needs to put a different strategy on the race if he wants any chance of salvaging some points and obviously limiting his damage to the championship. But wow, I wasn't expecting this from Matthew tonight.
Yeah, really not what Matthew Dench wanted to have happen. He's going to be starting in the last 5 cars that qualified, the last 7 it looks like on the racetrack. That is not going to get it done for 5 Star Motorsports, number 83 car, unfortunately. He's going to take a pit exit here, and I think practicing pit exit, trying to maximize that time getting out of the pit lane. So that's good to see that he's trying to maximize this, I think he took the pit entry there to practice that, now practicing pit exit. So he's practicing the right things here in qualifying, but unfortunately rather slow compared to where he really should be and honestly needs to be. He's the only car moving right now, which gives us a chance. What do you say we go ahead and take a look at the schedule once again? We've had some pretty wild racing, JP. You go back to Hockenheimring and Daytona, of course, and still those races are somewhat fresh in my mind. Hockenheimring, of course, was a big draft battle. Daytona, much of the same. Long Beach was a little bit of a mess, but in a good way. Of course, great racing and just a couple of big incidents that really hampered, I think, the overall mood of things. But then Hungaroring brought things back. Spa last week was fantastic. And I'm not usually a believer in Spa, but Spa last week was fantastic. And Charlotte is shaping up to be pretty good today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun seeing all these guys. Obviously, we might see different strategies, Andrew. I guess we touched upon this on yesterday's broadcast or just on the pre-race show. You know, I don't really see Charlotte as such a big fuel-saving circuit as Spa or Daytona, so I expect to see a little bit more maybe aggression or, you know, just drivers going for more moves, especially on the first part of the race. So it should be very interesting. Obviously, next week we're going to Road Atlanta. That's just going to be fantastic. And then obviously capping off the season at Red Bull Ring. That's also going to be lots of fun. Lots of straightaways, plenty of fuel-saving opportunity, but, I mean, nothing short of greatness as well. I really love this schedule.
Now, while qualifying runs out, it looks like nobody was able to turn any more laps, so that is where things will finish. We'll have a quick 5-minute warm-up before we get racing here, JP. This is certainly going to be a fun night of racing at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It always is a whole lot of fun. Into this warm-up. Now, this may still change before we get to the race session, but let's take a look at the weather, just for sake of doing so. 73 degrees in the air. That track temp, 77 degrees. It just came back down after a little bit. 77 degrees, not too bad. So we'll have to watch that when we get ready for the grid here in a few moments. While we take these few moments, by all means, grab yourself a cup of coffee, grab yourself, I don't know, a bag of chips, do whatever you got to do, grab some snacks, come right on back here. This is your chance. If you want to watch this race and do so comfortably, by all means, snacks are encouraged here at PitStopTV. Come on back here in just a few moments while these guys get some extra warm-up laps, and we'll be ready for 50 minutes of action here with the pros and pro-ams on PitStopTV.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Welcome back to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. See, I told you it was a quick break, but just enough time to run to the kitchen, grab a snack, come on back, sit on down, get your headphones back on, do what you got to do, and get ready for some racing. 50 minutes coming up here with the pros and pro-ams. And JP, I love putting you on the spot, especially for picks like this. Who do you pick to win?
Oh, based on the qualifying session, and I don't think we have Andre Melchers on here. I don't think you can bet against Victor Miranda. 4/10 of a second ahead of the competition on qualifying. If he can keep up that pace, at least on the early few laps of the race, he might just have a sizable gap. Just enough to maybe push till the end and take even extra fuel on the pit stops. Obviously, this is all just pre-race talk, Andrew. As soon as the green light drops, it's a whole different story. But I think the number 17 has what it takes to get his first victory of NARL.
Which is weird to think about. It feels like he's won so many races because he's dominated so many races, but he hasn't won a single one just yet. I'm going to go a little bit out of the box. I'm going to go ahead and take Spencer Kostowitz. We haven't seen him in a minute, but I think he's ready to come back and put a race together. He's been oh so quick the couple of times that he has raced, and I think Car 18 might just have it within him. If I had to go down to Pro-Am, though, I don't know how you can look past Lawrence Zavadil. He's just been so quick all season long. That said, I'm going to try and look past Lawrence Zavadil just for a moment and look to maybe Alessandro Torchio. He looks good. We haven't seen much of car 173, and this might just be it. I think tonight's going to be one of those kind of wild card nights where the championship changes a little bit, and certainly some wrinkles thrown in the plans for these guys. And again, I'm looking to a guy like Alessandro Torchio. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Still playing. I mean, didn't even start, Andrew. We still have 50 minutes, at least one pit stop for all these drivers. It's destined to be a great race. I cannot wait. Only a few seconds left in the pre-race practicing the warm-up session. It's definitely going to be interesting. 3.6 kilometers, 2.24 miles per lap. And, well, 2.24 unforgiving miles, Andrew. This is going to be great. And I cannot wait.
It's going to be a fun one this evening as we get ready for our grid. Let's go ahead and walk you down through as much of it as we can. Starting on pole, Victor Miranda in car 17. And you know what? I thought about taking him. Fabio Zamperlini might be a very good pick there, starting from the second spot this evening. He's one to watch. Starting third, you'll find Luke Krause in car 34. Then starting fourth, it's your Pro-Am pole sitter, Lawrence Zavadil in car 124. Starting fifth, you'll find Nicholas Michael. Then it's Nick Ludicky starting from sixth. Starting seventh, that's my pick, Spencer Kostowitz in car 18. For Vendaval Sim Racing, Brady Lubenow rolls off from 8th. Starting in 9th, you got Curtis Jones. And look at that. Brady Lubenow, Curtis Jones, and then Mikael Rudebusch. You've got 3 Pacific Sim Motorsport drivers in a row. They're ready for Charlotte.
It's really good to see those guys back. Manuel Scully is going to start in 11th place alongside him. Rafael Bonifacio in 12th place. 13th place will go the way of Alexandra Torchio in 13th. 14th, Spencer Marsh. That's all we have time for, Andrew.
Just like that, ready to go racing. Let's go ahead and bring that grid on down and get ready for 50 minutes of action from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Off and away we go. Daniel Thomas involved in an incident here to start the race out, but everybody else gets on rolling through turn number 4, through the hammerhead for the first time and towards the redneck roller coaster.
So obviously the trickiest part of this circuit. Looks like everybody's kind of single file just yet. We have a few moves going down the inside, but nothing too wild just yet, Andrew. Luckily for us, looks like no car is pointing in the wrong direction. Everybody's still racing and racing very hard.
Good look here atop the catch fence out of turn number 8. And look at the field work around the banking for the first time. Tony Kanaan making moves. He's into 17th, just past Justin Sang in the midfield. Everybody down to the bus stop for the first time.
Yeah, this is the first, another challenge, not the first challenging point of the circuit, but the first challenging chicane. Looks like everybody makes it through safely. Not a single car has overshot yet. So it looks like everybody, getting it slowed down, getting it nailed down. Obviously, a mistake, a slowdown penalty this early on would be extremely detrimental. But coming to the end of the first lap, nothing has changed up front, Andrew.
Lap 1 completing. Fabio Zamperlini in trouble across the line. He absolutely walloped that turn, the last wall, the front stretch wall. That's what I was going for. Absolutely tore up the right side of that race car. He's still going, but that's a lot of damage for Fabio to have to fight through for 48.5 minutes.
I'm very sorry, Fabio. That was peak commentator's curse as soon as you exited. So unfortunately for him, he's definitely going to be hating me. He drops only.
Well, I shouted him out earlier on. I said I was almost going to pick him, but I wasn't sure where he started. He started second. He was looking good, and yeah, big problems.
All right, so there you go, Fabio. It's Andrew's fault, not mine. But Andrew, the guy that you cheered up to victory that you think is going to win is up to 3rd place, starting 7th. So a really good start from Spencer Kostowitz. Only 2.3 seconds as this battle right here is still very much on. Is that Tony Kanaan on the bottom end of this train?
It is Tony Kanaan in position 16. Do you think he's seen this course before? Battles to the inside, now sits back behind. That is now Paulo Gudai straight ahead of him as, oh my goodness, Spencer Marsh from Pacific Sim Motorsport went around the outside. Now on the inside there of Paulo Gudai. Where does TK go? Sits behind Paulo for the moment. Is he going to drop back down behind Spencer Marsh? Yes, he is. Going to try and take that spot away. This will be for 15th for TK. I really do wonder if he's ever taken laps here before.
Oh, that's going to be a good shout.
Oh, Scott Kimbrough in trouble. Oh my goodness.
Even more cars with trouble, and that car, that Porsche looks like it's pretty much destroyed. I would be surprised if he doesn't have required repairs like a meatball flag, but yeah, looks like issues straight up ahead. Luke Krause, well, he finds himself in second place, Andrew, less than a second behind Victor Miranda, so the race for the championship is very much on. First and second place in the championship are second and first place respectively on track.
On board here with Luke Krause up onto the oval. And we're going to get excited. That's inevitable. But we still have 46 minutes of racing. That's a long time for this race to develop, and a whole lot of turns to take place, certainly. Both on the racetrack and in the race and in the storylines. A whole lot is going to change between now and the checkered flag. And I don't know. I mean, do you really think both of these guys come to the start-finish line and, 1-2 like this? Or it doesn't feel like that kind of race. It really doesn't. It feels like at some point these guys are going to meet some kind of issue, at least one of them, and unfortunately one of them will have to experience heartbreak this evening.
Yeah, hopefully both of them finish. Hopefully we have an exciting battle. You can see they're pushing to the absolute limit. Victor still looks like has a little bit of an edge on pace, setting the fast lap of the race and essentially building 3/10 of a second, but you can see, Andrew, how close these drivers have to get to that safer barrier on the start-finish line. It's really close. The limits are right there, and boy, is it challenging, but I love it. It's just fantastic seeing these guys pushing to the limit, and everybody's so close, especially from third on back.
A good look at everybody turning in for turn 5. That is one of the trickier turn-ins, I think, of the entire circuit. I just noticed Matthew Dench going for a spot on Paulo Gudai, and he's got it through turn 6. Move Matthew Dench up to 16th position then. Of course, a really poor qualifying effort. Started 24th, up 8 positions already. That's the kind of night you need if you're going to start that deep in the field.
Absolutely, he needs to make up those moves. Obviously, early on, it's a bit easier. Everybody's close up together, but as long as he can keep his car clean, Andrew, and maybe for a little bit of fuel saving, he might get a few extra spots towards the bottom end of this race. As we're on board with Mark Scott right here, challenging really closely to a driver in front of him. This could also be dangerous, Andrew. I'm not quite sure if I would be too comfortable following a driver this close, especially on a track like this. Obviously, impairing your vision, especially on those tight corners, but looks like he's making it work so far.
Scott Rice here in position 25. It's been a rough go of things this season for him, but putting something together this evening. Let's see what he can do. He's currently in position 25, ahead of Mark Scott in 26th. James Hansen then follows him behind. Hansen did not qualify, and it looks like he started from the pit lane, but he is on the racetrack now at the very least. And in 27th, Daniel J. Thomas had an issue off the start, another one of the Pacific Sim drivers. He is in 28th position now. Scott Kimbrough, we talked about him not being out of this championship yet. Unfortunately, now he might be. Beautiful Tam livery machine. Actually, I believe he might have told me that was painted by somebody else now. But regardless, beautiful Empire Racing machine. And in that 29th position, John Sedlak, though, in 30th, dead last. And these guys want to turn things around. Certainly not a great way for things to go for them if they want to contend for any kind of championship or really any kind of points positions.
Absolutely not. But, judging by how long this race is, if they just keep on persevering, just keep on putting laps, I'm sure Andrew John definitely not going to finish. If he finishes this race, obviously he might not finish in 30th place. Still plenty of racing to happen. And unfortunately, as usual, I guess, with racing, plenty of mistakes and plenty of DNFs still to happen. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on that number. But look at this train. I absolutely love seeing these cars running so closely. Looks like Kostwick is leading this pack, and he goes all the way down to Rafael Bonifacio in 13th place.
I don't know if you saw that across the line, but Paulo Gudai and Matthew Dench mixing things up. Matthew Dench catching a slowdown. He's going to drop down into 18th spot. Here comes Sam Soy behind him.
Oh, really not what Matthew needed. Obviously closing up, Sam Soy really closing up to Matthew Dench. Currently looks like fighting for 18th spot. You can see a few drivers ahead, Andrew, really getting close together, and we might see a little bit of side-by-side action as we head into the redneck roller coaster. No, but that small checkup that you do to avoid going side-by-side brings the challenges, those challenging cars, right back to you. So, well, they all get closed up once again.
And it just occurred to me that maybe there should be an explanation for the name Redneck Roller Coaster. That is named after Redneck Hill. That hill that you're looking at straight ahead in turn 6, well, that is turn 6, that is nicknamed Redneck Hill. And before it was really the big Roval, and even now with camping for the oval race, the Coke 600, you might have heard of it. That is just. That's Redneck Hill. People camp on it, and people put their campers there. They can see a lot more of the racetrack from a little higher up. That is nicknamed Redneck Hill. So it makes sense then for a series of corners that goes over and around Redneck Hill to be named Redneck Roller Coaster, I feel. Certainly picks up that name from a worthy place. So we just had a car take a crash. I'm not sure who that might have been. I heard crunching, but might have just been somebody grazing a wall and continuing on. I don't see any cars stop. I don't see anybody under 70 miles an hour. So I guess we continue on.
Yeah, just continue on. You can see, well, I mean, it's still more of the same up in front of Spencer Kostwick, still finding a lot of pressure, still receiving a lot of pressure from Zamperlini. And Andrew, I'm really surprised that Zamperlini is able to keep up with this pace, and Kostwick's, well, that's going to cost him a little bit of pace depending on how much damage he has to his Porsche. So now, if he has any damage, any aero damage, he might be on par with speed with Fabio just behind him.
Please tell me that pun was intentional.
What pun? Oh,
well, I guess that explains it. Kostowitz, it's going to cost him a little bit of time.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely intentional.
I see. You taking credit for it after the fact. But Kostowitz definitely pancaking the side of that Vendaval Porsche. Not what he needs at all. He's in the third position, about 5 seconds out of the race lead now. And Fabio Zamperlini, despite the damage that he picked up on lap 1, might be able to go up there and catch him for the third position. I said Fabio might be a sleeper tonight. He's just got something rolling for him. I don't know what it is that he likes about the Roval, but he's got this sorted out.
Yeah, absolutely. I love seeing racetracks where drivers really do excel, even with a lot of things thrown at them. Obviously, Fabio, a self-inflicted wound, but I mean, he's still going for it, Andrew. He's only 5 seconds behind Victor Miranda after 10 minutes of racing. This is impressive pace from Fabio. Obviously, he might be pushing a little bit more than Victor is, but still keeping up with Kostov just ahead, keeping up pace with Nick Liu to being able to keep him behind. A really good pace. Lawrence Zavadil as well. I mean, impressive to be in 6th place. And his closest championship rival is, well, struggling a little bit down in 16th place. So exactly what he needs, the number 812. 2nd place in the Pro-Am class, really challenging Brady Lubinow, and might see a move down here into the back straight chicane. Looks like Brady's just going to keep that position for now, but, well, look at the number 812 really jumping, and he might just get the position on exit.
That was Manuel Scully challenging Michael into the bus stop there. So Manuel takes that position away after the corner. Manuel pulled down low, pulled the Ryan Kerr kind of move that we saw in the amateur race, but there was no contact there. Now, oh my goodness, Nicholas Michael gets very close to the back end of Scully, and he's going to lose a position. It looks like here comes Curtis Jones. This is for 2nd in Pro-Am. Curtis backs out of it, but I think that was his corner to take. I think he would have been fine going to the apex there and challenging for that spot, especially after the couple of corners that we just saw there from Nicholas Michael. And we have a weird way of doing it, JP. As soon as we focus on somebody, they tend to make a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. At this rate, Andrew, I'm pretty sure we could just analyze the weather for the rest of the race to make sure everybody finishes.
Should we just go ahead and put up a black screen or even just scenic blimp? Here we go. This is the rest of the broadcast, boys.
There you go. If something happens to the racetrack, if a hole appears, wow, that's going to be bad. But
don't say that. This place was built on a landfill.
So there you go. But yeah, coming back to the racetrack, this battle for just the bottom end of the top 10 is still very, very alive. And as you mentioned, Curtis Jones could have gone down the inside of turn number 1, but, well, maybe Andrew's just thinking about the long game. Still 38 minutes to go. He's still very close. Is it worth risking everything, right now? So maybe, just thinking about just waiting for the pit stops as well. We saw some drivers undercutting. Most of the time that doesn't work, but, this could be a race where that could really, be a valid strategy.
Something I think that's worth talking about, JP, is the fact that it's easy to save fuel here, but it's hard to maintain a gap. It's very hard to stay with somebody, especially if you're saving fuel. And I just looked at the leaders and their delta, and it made me think of it. if you are saving fuel in these guys' case, it is easy to do so here. There's a lot of off-throttle areas, a lot of places where you can put the clutch in even, or a short shift, and save some fuel and still carry momentum here. It's a great flowing course. It's great for that, but it's very tough to stay right with somebody. So in the case of our top two, Luke Kraus has dropped a little over a second behind Victor Miranda. He does not have to be there to save fuel. That said, he would want to be, ideally, right? You've got oval sections where you can draft, but you get closer to a braking zone, you might have to lift a little bit early and give that room up, as it looks like Zavidil makes a move for 5th place. Let's go ahead and check that out. But it's going to be tough this evening on these drivers. Yes, you can save fuel here. No, you cannot easily stay with somebody. As Ludicky with a big slowdown. He lets Lubinow and Scully go on by. Here comes Michael as well in car 812. You'll have to let him by. Even Curtis Jones potentially. So big issues here for car 16 out of Vendaval Sim Racing. And he's had a really painful season. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of talent. But just the hits keep on coming, and it looks like he's coming to the pit lane.
So unfortunately for him, I'm not quite sure what this is, and this could be terminal, obviously.
You know what? Really with that right side damage and the way that right front is looking, he might have towed the right front out. He could have hit that wall in turn 7 potentially. It might not be a slowdown at all.
Yeah, so it could be damaged. So he's coming down to essentially get fuel. It's going to be 14 minutes of fuel that he needs to put in, so I'm not quite sure if it's going to be enough. Now we're going to take a look to see exactly what happened to the car 16. And as you mentioned, it's been a difficult season for him. The pace is there, but the luck just isn't, and you need both of them. You can see he goes a little bit tight on number 6.
Gets it there, and he's in a slide.
Yeah, and at that point, I guess the car is already damaged, so and it wasn't that big of a hit.
It really wasn't, but when you hit it like that, that tends to be exactly what does it. And he was in a slide, he was probably correcting as well, so the wheel was probably at a weird angle, probably had some steering into it when he hit. Let's go ahead and go back and see one more time, and we can really diagnose this for him. So we'll go on board, you'll be able to watch his wheel input, watch the left side where his steering wheel is, second, third gear there, watch what happens, what upsets the car. The curbing there, comes over,
Understeer.
So he still had some wheel into it, and you can see the wheel is off kilter there. He should be turning to the left, if anything, and he is very much turning to the right around the oval.
So definitely not what you want. So good on him, Andrew, as well, to just letting everybody through.
Recognize it and get out of the way.
Yes, that's really good heads-up driving. Obviously, safe driving as well, because when your car is crabby, it's really easy to essentially carry too much speed and spin out. So good on Nick Ludicky to essentially do that. Cutting back to the front, and yeah, the gap is still stationary, and just something you mentioned about obviously saving fuel, keeping up with pace. Obviously, both Victor and Luke are going to be saving fuel. The only thing Luke needs to worry is, save just a little bit more fuel than Victor. That's all he needs. He's only 1 second away. It's definitely plenty of time. There's enough time to catch up on the pit cycle, so he just has to save a little bit more than the car ahead, and he should rejoin after the pit cycle, obviously in around 15 minutes time, ahead of the for now leader. So yeah, it's just chess right here, isn't it? The first 10, obviously for these guys, it's always just chess, just biding your own time.
And I think the real core of my point a little while ago about saving fuel but not being able to follow is just that. It's tough to follow somebody. It's tough to stay close to somebody. And certainly while saving fuel, it's not like Daytona, it's not like Hockenheimring where you can have a draft pack, right? It's Charlotte. Yes, there's oval portions, but this infield is a great separator. And if these drivers, if this field were an egg, the egg white would very easily be separated from the egg yolk. I think that's what I'm trying to get to, is it separates drivers. Yes, you can still save fuel, you can still have battles, but it's just, it is a driver's track. It flows real nicely, but it's very, very tough to get around. It's very, very abusive on the drivers and the cars. So you've got to be perfect if you want to follow somebody. And of course, if they're not perfect, that backs you up, and you can obviously make a mistake more easily. So it's just so tough to follow right behind somebody. In this case, Luke Kraus has found home about a second back of Victor Miranda, but it's going to be tough for him to get up there and actually stay with him for any period of time if he doesn't want to pass. You can make a big bonsai move, but do you really want to with a half hour left?
No, absolutely not. It's not worth risking, essentially damage and obviously race-ending circumstances as we have even more battles down here throughout the grid. Looks like a few drivers, again, and being cautious, something, quite welcoming to see, obviously, as you mentioned. Yeah, not going for, what do you call bonsai moves?
Bonsai moves. Bonsai trees are cool and all, but you don't want to be a bonsai move, no.
There he goes. So being a little bit cautious, obviously, is really good to see. And it
Ooh.
looks like we have our first car coming down to the pit lane. So interesting.
So a pit stop here for Manuel Scully. He pits out of the 8th position, battling there with Nicholas Michael. And at 32 minutes to go, this feels early.
Yeah, a bit too early.
But you know what? If they can go to 20 minutes to go and further, then he can pit early and be fine to the end, I think. This isn't any kind of concern. It's just a matter of these guys tend to run more laps from the get-go. I think he's good to go from here.
Yeah, 90.6 sounds like, you know, what we expect from drivers to pit. But obviously, Andrew, especially on a track like this, driving on a full tank of fuel while others are on essentially, what, half tank
And that's
fuels.
why drivers tend to go longer. That is exactly why.
And like obviously on Spa and some other tracks you have a bit more runoff area, but on tracks like this, it seems like an extra challenge. Nick Ludicky coming once again to the pits. Car Ricer 10.9. Nick, what's gonna be his stop? Oh, he's taking tires.
He's already well back in the field. He may as
Yeah.
well go out there and go for some fast laps. I think that's exactly what he's aiming to do here. Yeah, it's been a really bad day, really bad season, unfortunately, for Nick Ludicky. Has so much potential, and I think he's done. Yeah, he is done. He just disconnected. Wow.
Yes, there you go. Just coming back to the pits and taking the DNF. Unfortunately, not the race he wanted. Just a small mistake, just a small touch. Looks like a small mistake is on for second place, dropping 0.7 of a second as we have even further battles throughout the field. Drivers going really close, but I was surprised, Andrew, to see the amount of cars that came down to the pit lane on that lap.
Yes, several of them did. I say several, probably a handful. 3 or 4 of them anyway, at the very least, that we saw, and potentially a few more. It looks like drivers that have pitted recently are going to include Manuel Scully. We saw him. Matthew Dench 3 laps ago. That's a possible scheduled stop. Lowy Santi a lap ago. Scott Reister a lap ago. Blake Scott 3 laps ago. Matthew Dench is back in. That was not scheduled earlier. This is a problem.
Yeah, this might be a problem. So his weekend, you can say, just going from bad to worse. He's going really...
coasting.
Yeah, he's coasting. So could this be another race over we're watching?
From bad to worse
Yes.
for Matthew Dench, and escapes out of the car, and he is done.
So really, really heartbreaking to see two great drivers having the race ended quite shortly. Hopefully they can bounce back even stronger. But now coming back to racing, look at this battle right here, Andrew. Looking to the outside, that's a Pacific Sim Motorsport car. Really good to see them once again back in ANRL. They had really good qualifying sessions, and well, they're ready to make moves once again. This was a bold move Daniel Thomas just put in around the outside of the backway chicane.
That was on M. Taki out of Asia. And Taki now will be left to the hands of, the pit lane, it looks like. He's coming into pit. I thought he was going to go to the hands of James Hansen, Daniel's teammate. But no, M is coming in. And this is perfectly had 30 minutes to go in the race, so 20 minutes elapsed. Yeah, this could be a very well-scheduled pit stop. I think, again, we go back to having fuel on the nose, just like in qualifying with Alex Persian. This could be a matter of just wanting to get fuel on the nose over, dealing with the weight. I think you might actually want that fuel on the nose. When the fuel burns off in the front of these race cars, you tend to get a little more squirrely. It tends to be a little more difficult to handle a race car. So I think coming in and putting weight in the front of the car is actually a good thing. I like this.
So obviously that's a bit of driver's preferences as well. But yeah, Mark Scott, he is having a long pit stop. We saw half the time of that. Looks like he's just filling up the tank at this point. A really weird situation that Scott finds himself in. I'm not quite sure what happened to him either.
Well, I do believe there is a limit as to how much fuel you can put in the car, so there must be other issues there. Could be a penalty as well for Mark Scott, as he is still in the pit lane. And is still in the pit lane. 45 seconds, up to 50 seconds almost now, so big problems there. Take a look at Daniel Thomas again, starting to close in on Reed Gibson. This is for the 18th position. Gibson's in 18th, Thomas is in 19th. And the next one up the road for Thomas would be Justin Sang. It seems like this 60 car has found something late in the run and is starting to work through the back markers.
Yeah, he kind of has to at this point. Obviously, his pace has been good. You can see taking a little bit extra runoff area on the Hammerhead. but looks like a good race for him. He's just, well, not afraid to make moves, is he, Andrew? It's something where we really like to see, and he's not putting up dangerous moves as well. The ones we have seen were confident and safe. So yeah, it's still 20 minutes, more than halfway through the race. I'm pretty sure he's ready to, well, put many more overtakes.
How about this group through the bus stop chicane? Rafael Bonifacio chasing down Alessandro Torchio. This is a good little battle. They're chasing as well Mikel Rudovic up the road. So Torchio just ahead here is 10th place overall. Bonifacio will now take that because, well, Torchio's into pit, and Tony Kanaan then will take over 11th position for the time being, following Bonifacio on the racetrack. And here comes Torchio into his pit lane.
So now keeping an eye out on the timer. We're expecting around a 9.7 second stop. We're just gonna have to see what the 173 does. Not overshooting his pit box, which is exactly what he needs. Currently 5, 6, 7. He should exit the pits momentarily, and it's a 9.5. So there you go, 9.5. Really good start from him. So after the pit cycles, Andrew, we're just gonna have to wait and see if this is a good time. But from what we've seen so far, it seems very competitive. And obviously, as soon as we see a car coming down the pit lane, we wonder, when will the leader come? And well, that question is just gonna keep on our mind until the moment he comes.
Victor's got a second and a half back to Luke Krause, able to save some fuel here. Looks like maybe he was going to arc down to the pit lane, but not just yet. He's led every single lap so far in this race. We are on lap 18. He has led 17. So yes, he has led every single lap. He has not left first position yet. And oh boy, Alessandro Torchio just left the pit lane, and he is in trouble.
Oh no, this is heartbreaking. Just got an excellent pit stop time, but unfortunately looks like that's going to be all for nothing. Scott Kimbrough exiting the pits, 8.6. Oh, that is fast.
Go ahead and go back and take a look at what happened here to Alessandro Torchio. This is a driver I shouted out earlier as maybe being a dark horse to go out there and do something good today, and I say that, and then he exits the pit lane and has some big trouble. Let's go ahead and take a look at it here. So he gets out of pit out fine, and then let's watch the pit exit and see what happens to the Juncos Porsche. Oh, wow.
No.
I believe, was that Blake Scott? That was not Blake Scott. That was Mark Scott that came over into him. Let's give the benefit. I want to give the benefit of the doubt here to Mark Scott before we say anything. I want to watch this.
So just exiting turn number 1, turn number 2, and he just, I think it was a bit of netcode as well, but obviously, Andrew, that pit lane exit is extremely dangerous for that reason alone. The car on the outside on the racing line, on racing circumstances, coming out much quicker than a car on the pit lane. So let's take a look to see exactly what happened. It was a bit of netcode, but I don't think the contact was avoidable. I think they were going to make contact either way.
Let's watch from his cockpit view. And this is a camera you don't usually use, but in fairness, he might be on triples, he might be on VR, we don't know, but from the cockpit view I race with, that's what you just saw, that is the cockpit view that I personally race with, he wouldn't have seen anything. So iRacing spotters can only do so much. I'm sure he probably doesn't have a spotter in the session with him, so there's only so much that can be done there, and that's just one of the unfortunate things about it. This pit exit here at the Charlotte Roval. So we'll see what Tony Kanaan can do. He just took a pit stop, 10.25 seconds, and he'll come out of the pit lane just behind Manuel Scoli by about 6.5 seconds. There's a lap car directly in front of him, though. He's ahead of Lowy Santi by some 13 seconds. So TK in his own little pocket here as he cycles into the 20th spot for now.
So yeah, currently this could be good for TK, obviously running his own race right now. If he can get past his lapped car, he's just going to be on his, essentially like a qualifying session as we have a few extra cars battling. This looks like it's Fabio Zamperlini chasing Zavadil. So Zavadil got past the number 27, Andrew, and the number 27 on Fabio, he really wants that position back.
And wouldn't you? You want to go up there and pass that Pro-Am driver. If you're a pro and you've won a championship in the GT3 series, yeah, you don't want to see a Pro-Am driver pass you. That's never what you want to see. And I must say, Lawrence Zavadil, he's a pro driver, I think, at heart. He definitely deserves the promotion. I wouldn't promote him yet. I wouldn't move him. I wouldn't change this championship result, but I would certainly, as soon as the checkered flag drops at Red Bull Ring, yeah, he's a pro driver.
Yeah, absolutely. He has the pace. I mean, he had the pace so far this season to be constantly in the top 10. It's just a really good string of results for Lawrence. And if he keeps this up, Andrew, who knows, maybe next season he could even fight for the championship with just being consistency as he is. That's exactly what you needed in the championship. That's how Fabio won his championship, by just being consistent.
Well, if we take a look at the points that he's amassed, of course, in the same race as the pro drivers and getting points the same way, he would only be 12 points behind Luke Krause. He would actually be third in the overall championship if it were scored that way. If he were scored along with the pro drivers, he would be third. That would be 1 point ahead of Matthew Dench currently. Luke Krause has 194 points. Lawrence Avadiel has 182. And Matthew Dent is 181. So that's, I think, pretty proof enough as to how his season has gone. And a lot of it has been consistency, I think, just putting the car in good positions and keeping the car clean, especially to start this season off. As the season has worn on, I think he's picked up a lot of his pace, but certainly it started out just out of consistency, and now 3 wins in the season, likely on his way to a 4th. I think he deserves to be promoted after this season, but not yet. Let him take his championship. Let him have his dominating season and go from there. Spencer Marsh into the pit lane. There's car 74. A big close-up as well.
Yeah, big close-up to that logo. But obviously, Andrew, let's not promote Lawrence Avadiel unless he gets an overall pole position. I'm pretty sure that's one of the rules, isn't it?
I don't know if it's a rule just yet, but it's certainly something that might be written in there. As you see Justin Sang in the pit lane, 9.45 seconds. James Hansen is recently... Oh, no, he's the last car actually running that has not pitted. Last car running of the cars that have not pitted. He is in 16th, and the top 16 have not pitted. That's what I'm trying to say here. Other cars that have just pitted, Spencer Marsh. We just saw him for a moment. Justin Sang, Laui Santi has pitted recently, and some others. I recently saw somebody else in the pit lane, I thought, but anyways, we'll let that be. Let's go back up front because, hey, that lead gap, it's grown quite a bit. Tires starting to go away on car 34, and we're starting to see why Victor Miranda is so good.
And now we're starting to see the qualified pace being applied to race pace. 3 seconds already, the gap between first and second. Obviously, it's not all smooth sailing, Andrew. This gap was just as big in Long Beach as well, and we kind of know what happened there. So still plenty of racing left. I'm not going to remind Victor, I'm not going to remind any viewer, any Brazilian viewer especially, of that, but it's still very far from over. Victor needs to keep his focus 100%. And, well, if everything goes to plan, Andrew, it's going to be the first Brazilian victory on the pro side of the aspect, at least on this season, and obviously his maiden victory as well.
So a 3.2 second gap for the lead. Your closest gap in the top 10 looks to be Brady Lubin out of Nicholas Michael, and this is rather close. Oh, James Hansen's just had an issue. Oh, no, he's not had an issue. He's pitting. Look at that. So car 904 comes into the pit lane, so he's no longer 16th without pitting. Oh, and he's leaving the pit lane. Even better.
Yeah, there you go. He just comes back into the racing course. Looks like safely in his own pocket of air. As he cut a bit forwards, you can see even more battling happening, Andrew. This is what I love about this series. We can cut to pretty much any driver, and we're probably going to see a couple of battles happening. And this is exactly what our eyes are watching. And this is a battle inside the top 10 as well. This is for 6th place. Yes, it is. Brady Lube now leading this straight.
Nicholas Michael here in car 812, second place in Pro-Am. We've seen his fair share of issues today. Curtis Jones just behind, Mikkel Rudebusch then behind him. So 3 Pacific Sim Motorsport drivers in a row, and Nicholas Michael is stuck in between in a Muradness livery. Let's go on board with Mikkel Rudebusch. Now back in the top 10 in points. Was away for a few weeks, is back in the field. Ran last week, I do believe, at Spa. Now back here at Charlotte. And as much as I want to sit here and ride with Mikkel, we've got a nice little battle shaping up between Lubinow and Michael. And this could be fun.
Yeah, this will be fun, Andrew, as I like to say it. Each and every single time where you have a battle emerging, Brady needs to keep his composure. Can't allow the car behind him to apply too much pressure. Can't allow himself a mistake, at least on this stage of the race with pit stops approaching for everybody. And with less than 20 minutes to go, he needs to nail lap after lap. He needs to lay the corners. And obviously, Michel just behind him, well, he needs to attack at one point. He just needs to apply pressure as long as he can. And hopefully for him, the mistake might come.
You can see weather there on your screen, 74 degrees in the air, 84 degrees in the racetrack. That's why maybe we're seeing some of these troubles. The track is heated up just a little bit since warm-up. and is definitely getting a little more toasty out there. It's still not bad. It's a very nice, calm morning here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it is getting a little more toasty than it was previously. So into the pit lane here, you've got Rafael Bonifacio. He will take service. Following him in, and oh, that was a quick pit stop, 8.7 seconds in the box. Following him in is Reed Gibson in car 143. Nick Peterson continues on. Let's see, Gibson, Bonifacio, and Tony Kanaan is actually going to sort out right here, position 16 for now, but continuing to work his way up, just overtaking these guys that are fitted.
So, yeah, unfortunately for TK, not the season he wanted as well, is it, Andrew? We saw a few good qualifying sessions for him, but unfortunately those good qualifying sessions were quickly ended in the race due to bad luck.
Well,
so
he still hasn't completed a lap of competition at Spa just yet. He ran Spa in the GT3 Series last season, ran Spa last week here in the Porsche Cup Series, and still has not completed a lap under green flag conditions, at least not in the race. And I think that tells enough of the story. It is not his own doing.
No, absolutely not. We know he has the pace. Obviously, bad luck. I mean, bad luck has been on his side, has it? That's not something you want to hear, but unfortunately, it just has. And I cannot wait to see, the number 48. Cannot wait to see TK back on top, as I guess we would be kind of used to, or we kind of expected to see. But obviously, it's just a matter of time as we have even more cars coming down in the pit lane.
That was Nick Peterson veering off into the pits. He will come on in and grab himself service. Likely just fuel. I would certainly imagine. These guys should not be taking tires in these pit stops. And his nose is center punched in, gets that fixed. He'll head back out there in a moment. So that promotes TK up to the 15th position. And there are not many close battles now left on the racetrack. A lot of these guys are spread out. This is going to be one of those races where things spread out and everything is won on the pit lane. Well, and through attrition.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, look at this. I mean, I'm still surprised that these guys are running so close. We mentioned how difficult it is, but Michel, at least, he's very close to Lube now, and he's been close for at least 3-4 laps. So that's definitely not phasing him, and they're still not coming down to the pit. So 16 minutes to go. This might be one of those tracks, Andrew, where we might see the leading drivers just coming into the pits. Oh, there we go. A few mistakes, so the pressure's starting to set in. That's going to motivate Nicholas as well. But this might be a track where we might see drivers coming in, maybe with 10 last minutes to go.
Well, there's a lot more off-throttle time here than some tracks, so you get a lot of chances to save fuel. I talked about it earlier. You can save fuel really well here. It's a matter of following closely, and that's just so difficult. As, Sam Sweat coming into the pit lane, so car number 6 comes in for service. And we'll get some fuel, head back out there. We'll see how long his stop is. We're looking for about 8 to 9 seconds. Certainly the quicker the better. It's 10.2 there, so a lot more similar to Tony Kanaan's stop, and you can see then who's saving and who's not.
Yeah, absolutely. We could expect the fuel, the pit stop time to be less than 9 seconds for those leading that have safe fuel. Obviously, if you're just pushing like these guys around here, you might see a slower pit stop. Looks like just a switch for position between Curtis John and Mikael Rudebusch, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe a little bit of strategy between the PSM drivers. Really good to see. And it's just going to be a question if, does it pay off on the long run?
I would imagine Curtis is letting Mikael go to see if Mikael can open up a hole to get by Nicholas Michael here, as Fabio Zamperlino will come into the pit lane for service. I would have to imagine, actually, Curtis Jones just pitted, so that's what that was. He was letting his teammate go, and everybody's into pit this lap. Victor Miranda, he is in. Car 17, here he goes out of the pit lane. 11.09, that's a long stop. Luke Krause, 9.85. But the lane times, they come out the same. 34.7 for both. It's maybe a tenth of a second of a difference.
Yeah, but Victor just had that early pace, and look at this. Luke is going to be, he's just behind Paulo Godoy, looks like. Yeah, so unfortunately for him, he's going to be stuck on a little bit of traffic. Spencer Kostovic as well, 10.3 seconds. So I take everything that I said, straight up back, Andrew. The leaders were not going to have a quicker fuel stop, so longer for them. So they were definitely pushing a little bit. Justin Sang, you can see.
Oh, no.
No.
Lauren Zafadil, big issues. He's been in the pit lane for some time now. I would imagine he may have gotten a penalty. Let's see if we can find what prompted this. This is weird that he's been in there for so long. We're going to go way back and see if we can find anything on this last lap that he ran. I didn't see any damage. He is rolling now, live, but this is a replay as to maybe what happened. This is his in-lap before he pitted. He ended up taking a pit stop of 50 seconds. That sounds like he might have had a penalty, and he took service along with it. When you have a stop and go, and you add service, it adds a 40-second penalty to try and equate the time that you would save by serving the penalty and the pit stop together, because you know it's condensing it into one trip down the pit lane. So you save that time that it would take from the second run down the pit lane. I think that's what's happened here. I think he makes up a penalty. That the fact that it's a 50-second stop. Literally, you can see it there, 49.87. That is 50 seconds. Take 40 away, that's 9.87 seconds. That's perfectly in line with what we would expect. I really think this is a penalty at a poor time, and they tacked on the 40 seconds, and Lauren Savadil is no longer going to win this race.
Yeah, really heartbreaking for him. You just gotta feel it. And it's so close to the end as well. That's really gonna sting for him. As I mean, it's already stinging, I can guarantee you. That's gonna promote Paulo to the winning side, but I'm pretty sure that's might be momentary. I'm not quite sure if he already came down to the pit lane, Andrew, as Brady Lubnow right now. Oh, okay, so Paulo is not, it's not the leader. So it's going to be Michelle who's going to be leading the Pro-Am class. Looks like Rudebush and Lubnow, both of them come down to the pit lane. And that's going to promote, once again, Victor Miranda to the top. And that's going to be, what, a 4-second looks like gap? Nearly 5 seconds between him and Luke Kraus.
And here's Paulo Gaday, and you're right, 4.5 seconds between Miranda and Kraus. We'll see where Gaday sorts out, and he will certainly sort out behind Nicholas Michael and Curtis Jones. So now, that battle, it took a long time and never really came to fruition, that Curtis Jones let Mikhail Rudebush by through. Yeah, that battle is for the Pro-Am win, so Curtis Jones might want to get a little more aggressive with him here as Brady Lubnow sorts out right behind Fabio Zamperlini. That is now for 4th position. Mikhail Rudebush just behind for 6th. Manuel Scully in 7th for the Juncos team. And there is Nicholas Michael just ahead of Curtis Jones. This is now your Pro-Am winning battle.
Yeah, this is a lot for the line for these guys. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it would be a maiden win for everybody around here. So a lot to play
even
for.
Bonifacio just behind.
Yeah, the second, well, I mean, the first car who has won in the Pro-Am class, well, is Paulo Gaday. He's in 11th place. He's 5 seconds behind these guys. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see who's going to come out on top. And I'm pretty sure now that they know it, well, it's even higher stakes.
A big shout out to our partners here with the North American Racing League, of course, Mitchell Racing School. Oh no! Both of your Pro-Am leaders wadded up in the chicane. Is Bonifacio going to take this spot away? Nicholas Michael tears things up. He's still stopped now. I think he gets rolling. And here we go. This is for the Pro-Am win. Nicholas Michael is rolling again. But Bonifacio on Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones now with a punched-in center nose of his race car. And Bonifacio with the offense here. What can car 121 do? He's going to peel down to the inside. Look to the inside of turn 1. He has got the lead in Pro-Am.
Exactly what he needed. Essentially, you know, just 2 free positions. Just had to be a little bit patient with Curtis Jones, and that contact between them, well, that's gonna be really interesting to look back on it later. But wow, I mean, as soon as we mention Andrew, something happens. The commentator's curse is on point. Paulo is gonna move himself up to the top 10 in 3rd place. But wow, once again, the leaders just come together.
Much different, though, from the amateur race. Let's take a look here for Nicholas Michael. Big problems. And Giuliano had just cheered him on in the YouTube chat. And Stu, you might want to take the curse on this one. This is really unfortunate. Gets in deep, locks up to keep from getting into Scully there, and just puts it into a 4-wheel lockup slide. Gets hit there by Curtis Jones. Nothing Curtis could have done. Gets back rolling. And wow, just simply wow. 10 minutes to go, and your Pro-Am leader has just made a costly mistake.
Oh, he's gonna be beating himself after that one, because just 10 minutes away from his maiden win. That's really gonna hurt, but looks like the battle's still definitely not over. Curtis Jones still with a lot of pace, trying to get that first spot back, at least on his class. I guess this is the battle to watch right now, Andrew. These two going at it. It's gonna be really interesting to see.
While these guys continue on, let's take this chance to remind you about our partners here at the North American Racing League. Of course, VRS, Virtual Racing School, supplies you with fantastic setups, data packs, and everything else, telemetry logs, everything you could ask for out of a service like Virtual Racing School. It's hard to describe kind of where they fit in, but they are a telemetry logging service, and they give you, setup packs, data packs, and everything else to go along with it. Very common that you see VRS setups used, for example, in the NASCAR iRacing series, the C-Class open series that you can run that follows the NASCAR schedule throughout the year, even with A fixed, B fixed, C fixed, at least on the oval side. And it's very common to see them used in road setups as well. I think I've definitely personally used VRS setups multiple times in endurance races just to get at least a base and kind of tweak from there, or even just use that setup in the race. I personally do subscribe to the Virtual Racing School. I very much recommend it. Same with Moradness. I am in that Discord. I've not used that driver coaching mostly because, well, JP, I don't race anymore. But if I did, I would, and if I needed coaching, Moradness would be top of my list to check out and to get in contact with. Giuliano Romagnolo, he's a coach, and he is this involved and this backs these drivers this much in this series, watching the broadcast and cheering these drivers on and getting quite emotional when unfortunately they have a mistake happen. This is the kind of involvement you get with Moradness and everybody else over at that organization. Of course, Daniel Morad has put a great little team together, and they're doing some great big things. Alex Persian, the last 2 weeks, a perfect example of what you can get out of Moradness. Tam Liveries, Scott Kimbrough is always the car I look to as Manuel Ascoli. It looks like he's going to have an issue. You can see him in the pit lane there, but if I can find Scott Kimbrough somewhere, if he's still racing, car 117, this has always been my example of a paint scheme that I like. I believe this is still a Tam Livery paint. I could be wrong, but at least it was for seasons on end, and it's still one of my favorites in this league. Tam Liveries gets everything put out on social media as well, so if you like what you have going on there, check out Tam Livery. JS Consulting handles all the back end here at the North American Racing League. The website, NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com, I believe it is off the top of my head. Everything going on the back end, that is all JS Consulting. They can handle that for all of your iRacing League needs. And just a really solid set of groups that help out here with the North American Racing League and put a lot of effort in. Let's go back up towards the front. Mikael Rudebusch, Fabio Zamperlini. Here's a good battle across the line.
I mean, I'm still surprised that Zamperlini is keeping up this good pace. Fantastic job from him. Obviously, he's going to be losing yet another one, but still, Andrew, top 6 with the amount of damage that he had for the amount of time that he's nursing that car is still a very impressive drive, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's recently been passed up by Brady Lubenow and Mikael Rudebusch, who have just put on, I think, a really solid race, a really slow, solid race, but I say slow. I think a slow gain throughout the field, a slow advance throughout the field, but they've just quietly put a race together, and unfortunately, as attrition sets in, and oh boy, they just cleaned out the cones there in turn 7, Fabio is starting to slip back a little bit after his lap 1 issue, punching that wall on the outside of the front stretch, and is definitely just working on trying to keep this race together as best as he can. We'll go back and check out the Pro-Am lead. Nothing has changed. Rafael Bonifacio still in 7th. Curtis Jones still in 8th. Paulo Goddard still 9th. And Nicholas Michael still in 10th. These guys are in this line of 4 cars together, split up by a couple of seconds. Nothing has changed, though, although that might. Curtis Jones, a much better run through the bus stop that time. And you can see Bonifacio is starting to feel that pressure.
Yeah, he's starting to feel, but unfortunately for Curtis, I don't think he's getting too much of that slipstream effect, and Fabio Zamperlini is going really slowly, so I think he got a slowdown penalty of some sort, so he's just going to be rejoining back on 8th place, so just as we praise once again, Andrew, something happens.
Keeps happening.
I mean, I don't know what else to praise, because I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to say anything else. I think throughout the night, Spencer March is coming down the pit lane. I want to say this is going to be a good stop, but I mean, our bad luck has been on point.
This is very much on schedule. This is his second stop.
4.5 minutes.
Yeah, not what Spencer Marsh needed, but he will go ahead and come on in. And we'll go back up to our Pro-Am battle. This is going to be pretty good. Here's a look at Nicholas Michael chasing Paulo Goddard. This is actually for 3rd and 4th in Pro-Am. Nicholas Michael, of course, had that mistake a little while ago into the bus stop. Got real close to Manuel Ascoli, who's now out of the race. Well, actually, no. Manuel is still in the race, but took a lot of damage in some kind of incident and has fallen well back. And Fabio Zamperlini with another issue on the backstretch.
Oh, yet another issue, dropping down to 10th place right now. So
a lot more damage.
Yeah, the final few minutes have not been kind to him. Really unfortunate to see. He was running such a good race, such good pace with the amount of damage that he had. Oof. and it looks like it might be on the chicane as well.
Oh, he absolutely drove
Oh.
through Mikel Runebush a few moments ago. Got a lot of damage there. And Mikel just went on like nothing had ever happened. The rear of that car is completely punched in on the left side. And Fabio, I'm not sure what's gone on since then. So this was the issue we saw a moment ago with Fabio being slow, letting these cars go on by. He had to slow down from cutting the chicane after that contact. And gets back rolling, and he is now down to 10th position. The next car to catch him is 7 seconds back, Tony Kanaan. Tony's actually got his own fair share of damage on the right front of that race car. You can see it there a little bit. I'm not sure what he hit at some point, but he hit it hard. That right front is definitely caved in. Do you think he gets up to Fabio here? Do you think if Fabio makes a mistake, he's got to worry about losing this top 10?
I think so, definitely. With the amount of damage that he has, I mean, luckily for him, it's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. That gap is going to be coming down corner after corner. I'm pretty sure that car is just, I mean, it's just slower on a straight line. It's going to be slower on performance mid-corner. So Tony's going to catch up naturally, but Fabio right now just needs to nurse the car. He doesn't need to force too much. He cannot afford any mistakes. Just like this guy, Bonifacio, he definitely cannot afford any sort of mistake, especially with Curtis Jones chasing down his neck. And Paulo Godoy just behind him, Andrew, Michel as well. So really close top 4 of the Pro-Am. Not any room for mistakes at all.
I think the last few laps have shown that Paulo Godoy and Nicholas Michael are just a little bit quicker than Bonifacio and Jones, but they, of course, were a few seconds further back, so they're having to make that time up and just eke out some advantage on them and try and close in. But again, catching is one thing, passing is another. We've seen that so many times. Think back to the MPI Cup Series, literally Sunday night at Circuit of the Americas. Catching is one thing, passing is another. And unfortunately, for the win, there was a mistake made into turn 12, big contact. We don't want to see that this evening. We want to see a quality move, and that's really tough to set up, especially with only a minute and a half to go. We are at 2 laps to go. Victor Miranda, next time by the start-finish line, will take the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams, but he has just taken 2 to go.
Yeah, and his pace has been absolutely excellent. I don't think there's any stopping him as we have this battle right here for position. This is Curtis Jones trying to defend from Paulo Godoy. So this is for second place. Paulo goes really on the grass and they're braking. That could have ended very, very terribly, but he keeps pointing in the right direction. So Curtis looks like he's finding a little bit of pressure, at least feeling a little bit of pressure from Paulo right behind. But with 2 laps to go, Andrew, he needs to make 1 position per lap if he wants to win this race.
Very close quarters here. They're starting to catch up to Mikel Rudebush and even Brady Lubenow a little bit up ahead. I think that's Scott, or is that John Sedlak? Yeah, John Sedlak just in front of these guys. So 4 cars in a line for Pro-Am. It's going to be tough to leave these guys. I don't think we can just yet. Very, very close. Curtis Jones now with a mirror full of Paulo Godoy. Paulo Godoy is the only driver in this bunch that has won a race this season in class. We talked about that earlier on. So certainly experience on the side of car 933. Let's check out a little further up the field. White flag is out, presented by Whiplash Simcams. 1 more lap around Charlotte Motor Speedway for Victor Miranda and the entire field.
Just 1 more lap, 7.5 seconds, 7.7 seconds between Luke Krause and Victor Miranda. So I would love to say this race is on the back, but definitely isn't. Still plenty to happen. Look at this run right here. Bonifacio, is he going to go defensive? They're all holding position. Paulo Godoy is trying to look down the inside.
He's there.
He's not going to waste any time at all. They're going to go side by side. Oh, Paulo makes it through. Michel hits Jones. And well, a switch up for second place, Andrew. Now 1 more car ahead of Paulo, but looks like that gap might just be too big to caught up.
Sam Soyd and Daniel Thomas doing battle as well out of the final chicane. They're side by side, and Thomas continues to tear through the field. This is for 12th, and he continues to just pass cars. Back to that Pro-Am battle, though. Paulo Godoy, he has just, I think, ruffled a couple of feathers with Curtis Jones. This battle is certainly not going to allow Paulo to go catch Bonifacio for the win. Let's go up to Victor Miranda, though. He is out of the oval for the final time, and Victor Miranda is finally going to get that monkey off his back. He has finally got a win here in the North American Racing League, and it comes at the Charlotte Roval.
Pretty sure he's going to be extremely happy. Finally it came. He finished ahead of his championship rival, Luke Krause. And yeah, that's exactly what he needed. Koslovic is going to finish an impressive third as well. Just looks like a few tenths back of Luke Kraus, so really good race for him as well. Lubinau is going to finish in fourth. Lubinau in fourth. Rudebusch in fifth. It looks like this guy, Rafael Bonifacio, is going to finish in sixth place as well, holding off Curtis Jones for the longest time. Then Paulo Godoy, a first win for him, so it's a first for both classes, Andrew.
Oh!
And contact on the
Contact
finish
across the line, big time. Rafael Bonifacio, Paulo Godoy, Curtis Jones, and more. Bit of contact there, but hey, it's all fair in love and war. That is going to finish things up. Tony Kanaan will come across in the 11th position. Fabio held on to that top 10. And a few more come across the line. Sam Sweat in 12th. Daniel J. Thomas moves up to the 13th spot. A really good tear through the field for him. And Scott Reister, finally a good turnaround in his season. He will finish 14th this evening out of sheer attrition with the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Maybe that means that Scott will be a little more apt to put this back on the schedule in future seasons. I certainly hope so. That would be quite nice of Scott to do. The final car comes across the line. That is James Hansen, and Barney can finally give it a rest. JP, what a race.
Absolutely amazing actions throughout the race. A few incidents unfortunately happened, a few self-inflicted mistakes, a few mistakes happened due to others, but a fantastic both races actually.
Two really good races here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, I think, proving its versatility here as a venue. It doesn't just host NASCAR, it can host Porsche Cup racing, and in a few weeks it'll even host some GT3 racing with the North American Racing League. But for now, we will take a step aside and get ready for some post-race interviews. Two brand new winners, Victor Miranda and Rafael Bonifacio, with Luke Kraus second and Paulo Godoy second in their respective classes. A big shout out to third place as well, Spencer Kosowitz in Pro and Curtis Jones in Pro-Am. Two really good top threes here at Charlotte, and we'll be talking to the top two of each in just a few moments.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Welcome back to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Some scenic views taken earlier today as we got ready for two fantastic races. They were definitely that, JP. Two fantastic races, 30 minutes of the amateur race, 50 minutes of the Pro-Am race, and I think proving the versatility of the circuit, proving the legitimacy of this road course, the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Fantastic racing through and through, and we've got some exciting winners and second place finishers to speak with here in just one moment that I think are certainly very, very deserving of their honors this season.
Absolutely. And I cannot wait to see. Looks like we have no Brazilian interview lineup, Andrew, which is really interesting. It's definitely going to be the first for me, and obviously it's the first win as well for Victor. Então, Victor, finalmente chegou. Primeira vitória, demorou, mas veio de uma forma bem dominante.
Finalmente, João. Caraca, muito difícil essa pista, como eu falei na semana passada. Essa é uma pista de muita concentração, os muros passam muito perto, o pneu aqui consome demais, cansa, é uma pista muito complicada, necessita de concentração o tempo inteiro, e o segredo era o quali, conseguir encaixar uma boa volta, largar em primeiro era essencial para fugir das batidas, fugir das confusões, e finalmente veio, a vitória veio, dessa vez não tinha como escapar. Demorei para achar um pouquinho o ritmo no começo, mas depois que eu encontrei o ritmo ali, foi concentrar e fazer uma volta atrás da outra pra gente abrir do look. E também consegui terminar a prova com 0 incidentes, o que me dá mais 2 pontos no campeonato. Então agora definitivamente estamos em primeiro no campeonato e vamos para as últimas 2 etapas com força total.
Cara, com certeza, isso aí nas últimas 2 temporadas, nas últimas 2 corridas vai ser basicamente tudo ou nada, né? Mas rapidinho, o que foi aquele quali? Poxa, quase meio segundo à frente do segundo lugar. Meu, da onde que veio aquela volta?
A gente sabia, treinando aqui com o Zampellini, com o Paulo Godoy, com o Laui, a gente sabia que o grip do pneu durava aproximadamente 2 voltas. Então era encaixar o aquecimento do pneu ideal na outlap para tentar fazer a primeira volta e a segunda um pouco melhor, sem lixar, né, sem arrastar tanto os pneus. Consegui encaixar uma boa volta, acho que a parte da tração que me ajudou bastante, e faltou um décimo ali, não vou negar não, errei ainda um décimo e meio, a segunda volta vinha melhor, só que eu dei um toque no muro, mas super satisfeito de que encaixei a volta. O pessoal também talvez não tenha conseguido encaixar a volta pela dificuldade de passar no muro, se arriscar para completar a volta, então foi tudo certo, consegui encaixar.
Com certeza. E agora rapidinho para eu deixar você descansar, porque eu garanto que você tá cansado. Cara, pra semana que vem, o que você tá esperando pra corrida?
Semana que vem, Road Atlanta, né? Semana que vem eu espero estou bem confiante. Road Atlanta fez parte do calendário da Porsche Cup Brasil no final do ano passado, onde a gente encaixou uma vitória em cima de nomes importantes aqui, do Jeff Gyasi, do Gustavo Ariel, que são nomes Jeff que está no Mundial. Então, estou bem confiante. Temos um carro bem acertado e vamos lá, vamos tentar, inclusive, ser campeão, garantir o não descarte da etapa, concluir uma corrida boa, para a última não necessitar, não ficar tão apertado aqui na pressão. E por último aqui, João, queria agradecer meus pais que assistiram a transmissão, parabenizar a transmissão, parabenizar aqui o campeonato, agradecer aqui os pilotos que treinaram comigo aqui, o Zamperlini, que infelizmente não conseguiu encaixar uma boa corrida, o Paulo Godoy, que fez uma boa recuperação, parabenizar o Boni pela vitória aqui na Pro-Am, e não deixar de agradecer a minha equipe, a Energy Sim Sport, que dá todo o apoio, e vamos pra cima.
Com certeza. Meus parabéns, Victor, pela vitória. Espero falar contigo talvez quinta-feira e na próxima terça também da Victory Lane. Mas dito isso, aproveita o descanso e aproveita essa vitória aí muito bem merecida.
Thank you.
Alright, Andrew. So obviously, I guess you can kind of tell, even, he was speaking Portuguese, that he was very happy. It finally came. So he mentioned obviously the race was very difficult. It was very physical as well. The tire wear was a big factor on the race. He felt like the tires were going away since the beginning of the race. Obviously, he needed a lot of focus to keep the car in one piece and keep up that pace that he had. The secret he mentioned was on quali, and obviously that's where he absolutely nailed it. 4/10 of a second. He knew that the tires would only last 2 laps in quali due to his practice, so he knew the second lap was the most important after getting lap 1 just as a banker. He found it hard a little bit on the beginning to find a race pace, but as soon as he did, obviously he was kind of unstoppable. He also managed to finish the race with 0 instant points, which granted him 2 extra points on the championship, which according to him definitely lands him on top of the chart. So he's leading the championship right now. He's focusing 100% on the final 2 races to try and get the championship, and yeah, he's extremely confident. He knows he has a good car for next week, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. But the number 17 is definitely coming very, very strong for the final 2 rounds.
And that gives us a chance then to go ahead and go down to Rafael Bonifacio. And this is a driver, JP, that I've been kind of watching quietly in the standings and waiting for a big moment like this. This is a big one for him, car 121 in Victory Lane in Pro-Am.
Então, Rafael, primeira vitória, primeira vez que a gente tá falando contigo. Conta como é que foi tua corrida.
Aí, João, tudo bem? Se importa se eu falar inglês aqui para a transmissão?
Ah, claro que não. Go ahead, please.
Sounds good. Good night, everyone, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. So I got last podium, last race, and this is actually first victory here. Very, very happy. Very unexpected results in terms of all preparation, in terms of this is a very, very tough track, and I was just aiming to bring a solid a race. Since I lost the first round of this series, so it was my drop points are 0 basically. So I was just trying to bring a good result, and ended up having a good qualifying, a better qualifying than I expected. And then in the end, I think a few things happened to a few people in front of me. I haven't had the time yet to check it out what happened. And but after the pit stop, it was a very, very tough race. Curtis having a very clean and tough race, and it's just incredible to be on top of the podium tonight, and bringing Wolfpack here in North American Racing League at the top. It was very, I don't know, I'm a little bit speechless, I'm sorry, but it's just very excited, very, very happy about it.
No worry, I can definitely tell you're excited. I would be as well. Obviously, we have to ask, after, the contact between the drivers in front of you, you found yourself leading the race. How difficult was it to keep the drivers behind? How difficult was it soaking all the pressure and make sure you didn't do any mistakes?
So basically, I think the highest point of this series is about the strategy, about the refueling part. And I confess that it's not that I miscalculated, but it was that little extra that was left for me. And once I found myself in front, to be honest, since I didn't want to get too much pressure on me, I didn't really see I knew I was in front, maybe on the top 3, but I didn't know I was leading the race. But I know Curtis was very fast, and after I got out of the pits, I realized I was lacking a little bit of fuel, maybe like a liter or half a liter. And by that, I was just trying to be as fast as I could, trying to spend as less fuel as I could, and thank God, in the end, it was fortunate that Paulo Godoy and the people behind started to fight, because they lost a lot of time there, and I think that helped me a lot to bring all the results come together as not as expected, but as it happened. So it was very tough, but very challenging and very rewarding.
Excellent. Great insights. Well, Rafael, it was great talking to you. Interesting to talk in Portuguese and English, but yeah, it definitely made my job a little bit easier. Hopefully we can talk to you next week. With that being said, have a good rest, get a lot of practice, and good luck for next week.
Thank you, João, and thank you, Zachary. Thank you, Andrew. Hopefully we talk next time. Thank you. Have a good night.
Absolutely, you too. So, Andrew, that was Rafael. Made my job a lot easier, not gonna lie. But yeah, really good talking to him. Really excited as well for a victory, as he should be.
Next up, we'll actually skip down a couple of places in the Pro category. We'll bring in driver 11 in Pro, and that's Brady Lubenow, somebody we've spoken with a few times before, and somebody who finally has dinosaurs on his race car. Brady, how you doing?
Good.
It's good to finally see some dinosaurs on there. I've been asking for this for some amount of weeks since Hockenheim, I want to say, and finally race 6, you guys got on it. I love the paint scheme. Remind us again, because I couldn't remember exactly your occupation. Remind us again about what it is you do.
I am a hydrogeologist.
There you go. Now, hydrogeologist, I think that explains in the blue on the side, dinosaurs, rocks all over. How does that help you as far as sim racing, though? I'd imagine not much, but you still come home P4. Really good run today.
Oh yeah, definitely. I dug deep on the straights and just, yeah, I was a solid rock. I was impossible to pass because of that low wing.
There you go. I like it. And you had Mikel Ritterbusch just behind, so it seemed like you guys had to move through the field together. Is there a level of teamwork, or is it kind of just, hey, let's see what we can do together, and we'll race when we need to?
Oh, there is definitely a level of teamwork from all of us actually in the pro and in the pro-am.
And how do you attack these last 2 races of the season? We're going to Road Atlanta next up, then Red Bull Ring. It's been a whirl of a season, a lot of different racetracks. I think Long Beach and Charlotte definitely threw you guys for a couple of twists. And Road Atlanta and Red Bull Ring feel a bit more normal, but I think in a normal kind of season, they would almost be more chaotic racetracks in that kind of season. So how do you approach these last 2 races?
Oh, I'm very excited. I would say PSM Pro, we're definitely going to try to win the championship, the constructors championship. Pro-am, they're starting to get their stuff together, and I think they might have a good chance to be up there too.
And of course, we've got a pretty cool special event coming up later this year in May. Are we going to see Pacific Sim Motorsport in that one at Watkins Glen for 24 hours?
Maybe. Some of the teammates not racing in this league were asking about it, so I don't know. I need to check up with them.
Well, there you go. So we might see Brady Lubenow and company in the 24-hour cash days at Watkins Glen. Brady, it's good to finally talk to you after a long, long time. And look at that. You even got 1 lap led this evening. Certainly making sure that your name was known this evening. Congratulations on nearly a top 3 and certainly a really good run. We look forward to seeing you again this season.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just want to thank Mikel for the awesome paint job. And you know it, of course, my cat Trilobite.
That's right. I forgot about Trilobite. That's easily the best name I think that you could ever give a cat. And once again, congratulations, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
Brady Lubenow, again, at least for his occupation, that's the best name he ever could have named a cat. Trilobite. Yep, that's the one. I'll move things down the line, though, to Pro-Am second place. It's Paulo Gadai, somebody we've spoken with before, JB. He's got to win this season. Came up just short, though, here at Charlotte.
Absolutely. Ready to go back to Portuguese? I certainly am. And Paulo, corrida boa sua, qualificação não foi a melhor, mas, poxa, na corrida, com certeza veio o trabalho duro.
Eita, João, hoje foi dia, viu? Prepara o coração. Hoje vem um quali que eu errei totalmente. A volta boa aqui estava sendo a segunda. Cara, eu vinha numa volta muito boa, né? Muito boa, eu vinha para ficar ali no top 5, eu acho, do geral. E, cara, eu venho tão forte que eu erro o ponto de frenagem da última chicane. E, velho, travo e passo reto, né? E rodo, na verdade. Aí acabou tudo. Eu não consegui nem finalizar o quali da segunda. E a primeira veio um tempo muito razoável, né? Muito, muito fraco, porque o pneu ainda tá meio frio, então o carro dá umas dianteiradas. Enfim, quali não deu e tal. E aí, cara, eu não desisti da corrida, né? Mas eu falei, cara, eu vou ter que apostar na sorte, né? E vou ter que apostar na minha economia de equipamento, no geral, né? Então, fazer esse pneu durar e começar a salvar combustível para ver o que eu vou conseguir fazer no pit. E aí a corrida foi toda assim, né? Quando eu tinha a oportunidade de passar alguém, eu fazia, né? Mas na maioria das vezes, quando chegou na galera do top 10 ali, que já são as pessoas mais rápidas do server, então aí eu comecei a salvar, né? Fiquei atrás de 2 carros ali por muito tempo, salvando muito bruto mesmo. E aí a diferença foi fazer um pit muito bom, né? Então eu entro no pit bem, coloco muito menos combustível do que eu deveria, digamos, e aí consigo sair perto dos meninos, e aí foi isso aí no final, né? Muito, muito perto deles. E aí só foi tentar fazer aquela ultrapassagem limpa, né? Deixar o espaço necessário ali pro segundo lugar, pro Curtis, né? Pro Jones. Acho que foi uma ultrapassagem bacana, depois a gente até conversou aqui. E cara, e o BR também na ponta, né? Foi muito bom saber que o Boninho conseguiu pegar aí um P1 também. Os dois carros falham ali na última chicane, então como eu coloquei o limite do limite do limite para conseguir fazer um pit bom, não consegui salvar tudo que era necessário, né? Então se tivesse combustível ali, às vezes até vinha o P1, né? Mas estou muito feliz pelo Boni também ter conseguido o pódio e eu também, né, de ter conseguido remar ali do P17 para chegar aqui no P7 geral, né, e segundo da categoria foi para mim foi incrível, uma coisa total de cabeça, né, deixamos um pouquinho a velocidade de lado para pensar na corrida como um todo e conseguir esse resultado agora foi um pouco de cabeça, tá?
Com
Acho que é isso.
Com certeza, acho que falou tudo. Mas, poxa, cara, corrida show de bola. Obviamente, não só você, né? Mas tivemos como você falou, o Rafa ganhando na Pro-Am e o Victor finalmente ganhando na Pro também. Então foi um ótimo dia para os brasileiros. Mas rapidinho, em algumas palavras, o que você espera para Road Atlanta na próxima semana?
Aí já é uma pista que a gente gosta mais, né? Também tem muito risco de acidente, né? Ainda mais primeira volta, ali aquelas zebras altas da pista vai ser complicado. A gente vai se preparar para vir forte do mesmo jeito, né? Um pouco mais confiante do que é uma pista que a gente tá mandando um pouco com medo, né? Enfim, qualquer toque na parede morria, então a ideia era ficar vivo. Mas para a próxima semana se preparar, como a gente tem feito, mantendo essa cadência de resultado que eu acho que é o mais importante. E agora conseguir ficar mais perto ainda do Lawrence, né, que eu acho que é a parte mais importante aí para tentar buscar o campeonato. Tá? No mais, eu quero agradecer, obviamente, a todos os brasileiros, né, não tem como não agradecer, todo mundo junto ali, todo mundo trocando ideia, né, DHR em peso, Vitinho pelo primeiro, cara, incrível, né, anda demais. O Zampa foi infeliz hoje, cara, a gente tava prevendo um pódio ali para ele, fez um quali bom e tudo, né, então, caramba, a gente ficou bem triste, assim que ele falou no Discord que tinha acontecido um toque e o carro quebrou. Então a gente tá junto com o Zampa pra botar ele pra cima o tempo todo ali. Infelizmente hoje não veio, mas na próxima acho que ele vem muito forte também. Enfim, todo mundo. Lauí, o cara deck que hoje nem correu, mas tava ali assistindo a gente, tava dando um apoio. Então assim, DHR em peso. E o Boni, né? E o Boni, por mais que não corra ali com a gente, mas é Brazuca, é BR junto com a gente, e é isso. Tá? Meu time, Real Drive, muito obrigado. E o Race. Motor Bull e Ciência VR aí pelo patrocínio, pela parceria, sempre deixando a gente com ótimos equipamentos aqui pra gente andar nesse nível, tá bom? Obrigado, João.
Com certeza, obrigado você, Paulo. Espero falar contigo semana que vem. E um bom descanso.
Valeu. Até quinta, na verdade, no GT3. Se Deus quiser. Valeu, até mais. Tchau, tchau.
Ciao, ciao. So, Andrew, I guess even right then, you could tell he was pretty happy. Obviously, it started on qualifying. He said himself it was a bad qualifying session. His banker lap was, average by his standards, but his second lap, he said he was coming so fast. It was supposed to be a 5th place overall, but unfortunately got a small mistake on the final chicane, and that was it. So he started on P17, and early on, he knew it was going to be all about luck and fuel saving. And he knew that, there was no point in giving up that early. So, he just kept his nose down, was fuel saving since the start. But as soon as the overtaking opportunity came, he just went for it. Obviously, as soon as he got close to the top 10, things started to get a little bit harder. So he just decided to go full on fuel saving mode. On the pit stops, he gambled a lot on the fuel and really underfueled the car. Ended up working because he really closed up to these guys in front of you. You can see on the shot, he really closed up and allowed him to take chances. And obviously, he made a clean overtake on Curtis Jones ahead of him, settle him for second place. And then he said that him and Bonifacio, both of them ran out of fuel in the final chicane. So, if he only had fueled a little bit more, maybe he could have won the race again. But, he's very happy for Rafael. He's very happy about his race as well. And, yeah, obviously talking about next week in Road Atlanta, it's a high-risk track, it's unforgiving just in the same way, but luckily not a lot of concrete barriers like this one, so he's more confident, he's going to put a lot of practice, and he really hopes to close that gap back down to Lawrence Sabadell ahead of him.
Always good to hear from these drivers and see what they think of their efforts out on the racetrack and everybody else's efforts and just whatever happened. That is it then. 30 minutes of amateur racing, 50 minutes of pro-am racing, and it all comes down to the following results. Let's go ahead and come back to the sim and get a look at exactly where everybody finishes up and Of course, we talked about it. We saw it finishing up first place in Pro. You'll find Victor Miranda, Luke Krause there in second. Spencer Kosowitz completes your podium, and just behind as well. Those guys got very close. We didn't see it as much when it happened, but only 3/10 separating those two at the line. Spencer Kosowitz there in third. Brady Lubenow comes up in fourth. Mikhail Rudobush completes a Pro top 5. Then you get to Rafael Bonifacio in sixth, Paulo Godai in seventh, and Curtis Jones in eighth. Fabio Zamperlini sneaks on through to ninth, and Tony Kanaan 10th, which means that brings Nicholas Michael well down the field. He ends up being credited with 18th spot. He must have chipped the 1X there at the end and picked up some, you know what? I'll bet it was the contact across the line. I'll bet that gave him incidence and dropped him down the order. That 4X was likely just enough to drop him down, give him a penalty, and penalty time to drop him all the way down. In fact, absolutely, that's exactly what it was. He ended up 71 seconds behind the race leader when it was all said and done, while the guys he was racing were 37 seconds back. A 40-second penalty, if you don't serve it, a 40-second penalty is exactly that. It takes you from 30 up to 70 seconds. So it was exactly that. It's an incident penalty at the end that drops Nicholas Michael well down the order and promotes Fabio Zamperlini up into 9th and Tony Kanaan to a top 10.
Really good race from all of them. Samson is going to finish in 11th place. Daniel Thomas in 12th. Scott Reister 13th. Lawrence Zavadil is going to finish in 14th place ahead of Justin Sang. Lois Santi is going to finish in 16th ahead of Nick Peterson. Nicholas Michel, as we mentioned, Andrew, 18th place, unfortunately for him, ahead of James Hansen, who's the last driver to finish on the lead lap in 19th. And 20th place goes to Scott Kimbrough.
Finishing 21st is Spencer Marsh. 22nd goes the way of Blake Scott and Manuel Scully. Joins each of them one lap down. 2 laps down, you'll find Reed Gibson and Mark Scott. Pretty rough races for each of them, but they kept on and got a few points over guys like John Sedlak, M. Taki, Alessandro Torchio, and especially Nick Ludicky and Matthew Dench, both 26 laps down in their own issues, but well down the running order. So 30 cars turned up for this one at Charlotte in each division. Only 29 actually started in AM, but 30 started here in the Pro-Am race, and that's how it all boils down. Of course, the rest of the season looks a bit like this. Just Road Atlanta and the Red Bull Ring for the Porsche Cup schedule. We've talked a lot about each track. I don't think we need to say anything else. Just it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I think Road Atlanta especially, we've seen it recently with the GT3 cars. It's going to be a little bit hectic. We're going to have some big issues over the S's and certainly some big moves into turn 10, but it's definitely going to be a return to more normal racing circuits and, get us away from places like Charlotte and Long Beach, which I think will be nice for these guys to sort out their championship woes. And of course, in GT3, this is how things look for them on Thursdays. You can see Charlotte right back in the lineup for round number 6, JP. This place is getting its own fair share of racing.
Oh, absolutely. Some drivers will love, some drivers, I guess, not so much, but it's definitely going to be lots of fun. Obviously, in 2 days' time, Andrew, we're going to have Long Beach back on the schedule. As also, from one difficult Roval to a very difficult road course, they have their hands full.
And Red Bull Ring, we'll check right back in there for race number 4 here for the GT3 cars on Thursdays. Circuit Zolder steps in. You get VIR and Interlagos to wrap things up. So a really good couple of schedules and a lot of really good broadcasts then coming up here at PitStopTV. Here's a look at the most upcoming. In fact, tomorrow evening in less than 24 hours, we will have, in fact, just over 20 hours, we'll have coverage of the Outlaws Sim Series from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with NASCAR Next Gen Machinery. Then on Thursday, you've got BSRTC from Donington Park at 8 p.m. UK, now on British Summer Time, and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Thursday, we've got Long Beach for the North American Racing League GT3 cars. No MPI Cup Series coverage this weekend. On Sunday, that'll be on Podium Esports, one of the last races that they will have before we take over for a full summer of racing. And then next week, of course, we right back around with BSR MX-5s on Tuesday from Knock Hill. Throw in right back here with Porsche Cup at Road Atlanta. Next week, we've got Outlaw Sim Series from, I want to say, Phoenix. For some reason, that's the track that comes into mind, but I'm not sure that it actually is. Anyways, we'll, of course, get there when we get there. We got a whole half a week of racing to finish up this week, JP, and a lot of ways to keep up with it.
Absolutely. We're present on each and every single social media, let it be for photos, for live updates on racing, and obviously news, and obviously live coverage as well on Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, and YouTube.com/PitStopTV1.
Yeah, I was just a bit mistaken. Next week is Chicagoland for Outlaws. But anyways, we'll get there when we get there. We've still got Indianapolis to go through for Outlaws tomorrow. Then again, Donington Park and Long Beach on Thursday. And then we get to our next week of racing. It's going to be quite enjoyable, I think, the rest of the way through. Really, really good stuff today. Really good stuff, I'm sure, the rest of the week. Donington Park is sure to excite on Thursday afternoon, and Long Beach certainly will be very fun with us here with the North American Racing League GT3 cars. So just a lot of great racing on the way, and we certainly hope you tune in for it. Follow along here at PitStopTV for all things sim racing. For all of us here at the channel at PitStopTV, thanks so much for tuning in. For all of us that were on this broadcast this evening, JP Costa and the wonderful Zach Murtis alongside. In fact, he's brand new to this stuff still. He's only got a few races under his belt. And if you go over to our social media that JP shouted out and check out Zach's work today, it was a huge step up. This guy is making strides and is really picking this stuff up pretty quickly. So a big shout out goes to Zach Murtis this evening, and a big thank you as well. And a big thank you to everybody watching. Certainly do appreciate it. It makes these broadcasts so much more worth it to see the numbers that this league brings in, and to see everybody tune in and watch these broadcasts. It makes everything that much more valid, and certainly lets us know that our work is appreciated. Until tomorrow evening with the Outlaws Sim Series Indianapolis, thank you once again, good night, and we will see you next time.
Wanna cry.